You could call this a special meeting to order, March 28, 2022, 6:32 p.m. The roll call. Trustee Twitchell.
Here.
Trustee Byrd.
Here.
Trustee Syracuse. Here. Trustee Esperson.
Here.
Trustee Linden is here. Whereas notice of this this meeting was given to the Board of Trustees and the news media as required by law, now therefore be it resolved that the special meeting of this Board of Trustees be held at this time and place to review the Village of Fredonia's 2022-23 tentative budget and or consider any business that may come before this board.
Second.
We have a second. And Trustee Twitchell.
Yes. Yay.
Trustee Byrd.
Yay.
Trustee Syracuse.
Yes.
And Trustee Esperson.
Yes.
And Trustee Linden says yes. Now we'll just go into review. And we're sort of like a workshop, but it's just a review of the budget. And we'll, I believe we'll start with any questions. But first thing I think we're going to do is take a quick look at the first page of the budget, the very first page. I had one question on this first page. I think we could, as we go along, when we go to each department, we'll just, I'm sure everybody has reviewed this. Yep. And we have each probably come up with some specific questions we want to ask, or maybe some changes we each want to make. Instead of going line by line on every single one, we'll just hit those questions from each individual. Yep. Okay. The very first one, I had a question on, it's actually line number 3, the capital projects finance from the local funds. That number.
That's got to be changed. That was the initial.
Okay, because it says 739,312. In my belief, it would be because the 340,812.
Yes.
Because the reasoning is we did not take any money from the fund balance last year, and so we added that. And the mayor actually added the what was it, the 518,000 from the ARPA. So our beginning unreserved fund balance should be that. And that should end up with, we end up with a beginning fund balance. So on the next page, your next page should be changed then too, right? The beginning fund balance?
912, 990 plus that 518.
Right, so your first, it should be 1,502,464. Correct?
1,500,000. That was not, the initial number for the unreserved fund balance was 912, 990 for the beginning balance. Plus 518,000.
Right. Right, so from last year, we had a fund balance, ending fund balance, 984,133. We didn't take anything from there for the beginning fund balance.
The unreserved fund balance as of 5/31/21 is the amount that was on the audit. That's where you get that number initially to start, is the most recent audit.
So that number, so that's just the most, so it's that much above our most recent audit, leaves us that much above what we estimated last year.
Adding in that 518,000.
Right. Okay, so we have the 984, 133. No, that's not still right. Plus, you said 518,000? Is that,
912,990 plus 518,000.
That's not gonna work.
okay.
So that gives you the
1,430,000,
through
yeah.
30, right.
Okay, okay, so that's the total there, okay. I just want to make sure I got, okay, so we,
Right.
okay.
Just
Got
so
it.
you know that one. Yeah.
There.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Do we want to go through, okay, from this point, I guess, do we, because the chief,
We should meet with them.
meet with them first?
I would.
Before we go through any further revenues?
Yeah.
If you don't mind,
Yes.
while they're waiting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna go with the fire department expenditures. There is revenues on the fire department side, too.
Yes, there is.
I guess can we just take a quick look at those revenues, just to make sure everybody understands those revenues on the fire department side? Those would be in the general fund revenues.
Yep, the third page. Right, so they would be on here then. And there should be revenues from, Town and
the-
ambulance.
right. And how are we doing with those, the ambulance, as far as recovery on the insurance on that?
We're about $400,000 outstanding in receivables.
400? Outstanding.
Is it a huge delay? How far back is that, do you know?
I don't know the date of when it goes back to, but it just keeps growing, so every month it gets bigger.
Is it because of COVID?
Yeah, because people are not having to
Pay
pay
their bills?
things. Yeah.
Oh, that's what Tim was telling us, yeah.
Do we have, dumb question, but do we have somebody basically calling these people?
There's a
and
collection,
process on this?
yeah.
Okay.
Are we able to collect on those funds now?
They're,
So they're in
have opened it up,
collections?
yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, and,
I mean, there's always gonna be a delay, that's just the nature of medical billing, but that's.
Pretty standard 90 days, probably minimum delay, most of the
Yeah.
I
time.
believe when I started, it was like 150 was
Yeah.
pretty
Wow.
much the average monthly.
Yeah, so that's above average.
Yeah.
Way
the
above
mayor proposed a $60,000 increase over last year's budget. Is everybody comfortable with that?
For, where you at in here?
Ambulance charges, the third section on revenues.
And,
Yeah.
Yep.
and then the town protection it is less than it was, but that's a contractual
Correct.
agreement, so it's down to 411,507. So there's nothing we could do about that until the change. So whatever increases come into play, we need to understand that contract is already set, so we're not
Yeah.
recouping increases until the new contract.
I guess my question to Kurt and Tim would be, I know last year, it looks like the trustees adjusted revenue 300,000, and this year you put 350,000 in. Did you expect that much more revenue?
Nice, go ahead.
And I guess why would you expect that much more?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to leads into the expense end of it also. That's the anticipated increase in revenue with picking up Saturday and Sunday for additional days of
Okay.
transporting. Currently, we have decreased staffing on the weekends, so we use the commercial ambulance service as the primary transport agency. And part of the budget proposal from the fire department was to increase the staffing on the weekend, actually across the board for that, which would then generate more revenue.
Okay.
Is part of that
Thank you.
increased staffing the hiring of the new chief?
No, that's not factored in there.
No.
That's not factored in?
That's kind of independent of.
Okay, because I mean, he will be picking up whatever shifts, so that'll free guys too.
No.
He
No.
can't be, so
No.
because they're union, he can't be, now, if something major happens, sure, he can hop on a truck and help out, but he can't be a scheduled firefighter on a truck covering a shift. It's like if there's 2 slots for a firefighter, it can't be the chief and somebody else. It has to be 2 firefighters,
Okay.
chief is extra.
Okay.
That is when you just mentioned staffing for the ambulance. The county has just put out their budget that they approved, and with a huge increase for their EMTs fly car system. It's approaching $2 million a year now. With a massive increase in staffing since the last few years that they started this thing. They don't come into Fredonia for any reason, because we have our department, right?
They have been into Fredonia very minimal times in the past, and they've only been into Fredonia when we've been out on usually a second or third call. So they have responded in the past, but normally they do not come in.
Mhm. So, we do pay those costs because there's a very large share.
We currently have no contractual agreement with the county for EMS services whatsoever. We pay nothing to them. When they come in, they bill the patient.
Right, but in our taxes, we pay for the system.
Yes.
And we're not necessarily getting anything out of.
It's kind of like having the sheriff's department under our own police department, same kind of a
Right.
thing.
Right, and so that mounting cost, but so the only time if we had to use them, it's only in a very restricted time, because we just
Yes.
if we're overwhelmed, then that would be the only time. I'm just trying to justify how the county is having such a huge cost that we aren't getting any value out of our tax dollars for. And I know you guys are looking for the possibility of increased staffing to cover our shifts. And I'm trying to find a balance with what the county's doing, what we're doing, as far as cost-wise. So anyhow, let's move forward.
Well, can I ask one question? So on the town fire protection, he's got 411,507. It should be 418,634, correct? That's according to to your revenues. In the budget, he had 411,507.
He does.
Should be 418,634. Is that correct?
For this year, in the contract,
It's in
Yeah.
your hand. You got over this right here.
I don't have the contract in front of me. Do you have
It's
the
on-
contract?
it's
It's 2019 is 411,000.
Yeah, rather than
Oh, I'm sorry, wrong one.
So we have 418.
418,634.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we can adjust that.
418,
634.
634 for,
That's as it was in the resolution. The contract is accepted.
Yep.
thank you.
Jim, it's on page 404 of the fire department's budget.
Oh, it's in this too.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Yeah, I think, so the county has been expanding their flag card service. I think they found it's a very necessary service that a lot of communities in this county really depend on and really rely on. And they use them really North County and South County. Fredonia, the way we've operated, being that we're already a transport agency and that we already have advanced life support and paramedics, we just don't rely on them like most other places do for either the manpower or the advanced life support. So as Kurt said, we will use them when we're out on multiple calls. We have a large incident, we've utilized them. But for the most part, it's a lot of communities that don't have advanced life support. They just don't have available manpower. They're using the county to fill that need.
Okay. Well, we might get further into this as we get down the road here, though. Okay, is there any more questions on the revenue side then?
Nope.
Okay, so then we can move to the expenditure side of the fire department, please. Where are we here? Fire. Well, I'm gonna start with each trustee.
Oh,
Michelle,
we
what-
start
yeah.
here? Okay.
Well, we're. Page 2, fire department. Fire protection.
There it is. Okay.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is page 2 of 5, so it would be where it starts with the fire protection. Michelle, do you have any questions first yet on that?
I guess, I know, what concerns me is what the town of Pomfret has agreed to pay us, and I'm concerned about the budget with hiring more personnel, but I can understand that by meeting with Tim, he told us if we do hire 2 new people, we would have less overtime. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
It would also reduce, normally most of the guys work 48 hours per week right now.
Right.
In the new schedule with the additional employees, it would actually reduce the amount of time that the current employees are working to about 42 hours.
Yeah, so basically, to make it all work, we're looking at fire department changing from a 7-day work week, which is what we do right now, from Sunday to Saturday, which is in line with all the other village departments, and moving to a 28-day work period, which is generally what most fire departments, pretty much any in this area, that's what they utilize. So basically, the hours that you work get averaged over the 4 weeks. So right now, being that we're working within a 7-day span of time, if somebody calls in sick, we have to cover. That creates overtime
Right.
because it's within that week. When we're able to do it over 28 days, it averages out, so it will overall decrease overtime. It decreases the average hours worked from 48 down to 42. So it is a little bit of a hit to us that are already working. We'll get less hours.
You don't hit overtime until you hit 52 hours. So is that-
Well, we had the contractual change, so anything unscheduled, so if somebody calls in sick and we come in, now it's time and a half after 48. So that got changed with the last contract, but, so those things will have to be tweaked, but that's kind of where
So
in essence.
So you're still not, we're still not, if you're looking to lower the hours to 42 hours work week, you still wouldn't get an overtime until 48, so.
Well, but even that, and we'd have to, work out the details of that, but it's actually, would be, if you're looking at 42 hours, it's 168 hours, actually, over the course of that 28 days. before you'd be able to get time and a half or whatever hour benchmark we set on that. So if it was anything over 168 hours, then it would be time and a half. It gives the village flexibility in how they're scheduling. It's something that I know the previous fire chief had actually proposed last year, so it's not really a new idea.
not
It's something
new.
that we kind of tried to approach before. As I said, it would decrease the hours for the existing people a little bit now, so it is a bit of a sacrifice on our end to get more people. It's something that we desperately need more people. It's a safety thing for us, it's a safety thing for the entire community, and we need to figure out a way to get more people on. So the most logical way we can do that is just kind of shuffle how our schedule goes, so then we can have consistent staffing of 3 people 24/7. Right now, we have 3 guys most of the time, but on the weekends, we do not. And also to offset that, that's where we brought up the revenue, is on Saturday, Sunday, we're generally.
I was just gonna say that too, so you would be able to,
We would pick
work
up
those
to
Saturdays and
24/7. We would
Sundays.
be the primary
Right.
transport agency for the village and the town.
and that would bring up the
It
revenue,
would bring up revenue.
and that
yes.
would help
Helps
pay
offset the
for,
expense, correct.
offset
Exactly.
the expense.
Are you not primary transport now? I mean,
Not on the
Not
weekend.
on the weekends, because we only have
Who-
2.
so-
So we will transport if we have to, say the commercial ambulance service is unavailable. But the problem is,
Aren't
since
they
we have,
usually unavailable?
it depends on the day.
Hit and miss.
Hit and miss, exactly.
Yeah.
The problem with only having 2, as soon as we have a call, our 2 people are tied up on that call, so we try to not kind of put all of our eggs in one basket,
Right.
and that's why we do that on the weekend. So the other point to be brought up with that, we kind of worked out the numbers of continuing to operate as we are right now. Maintaining, we currently have 10 full-time, 3 part-time, with a chief budgeted in there as well. Doing what we're doing, staying within the 7-day work week and working on average 48 hours, and doing everything like that. We're looking at, the total budget was projected to be about $1,363,000. Well, by switching how we're doing it, adding 2, and then changing that, we're looking at about $1,402,000. So it's roughly a little less than a $39,000 difference. So there is an increased cost of $39,000, but for $39,000, you get 2 more firefighters, we have around-the-clock 3-man coverage, and we'll generate more revenue through the EMS that will help offset that increase.
Right.
So some of it, I know it's a lot of dollars and cents, but there's the reality of we're getting more people working, we're getting
Right.
more firefighters.
Right.
It just makes our job safer, makes the community safer.
Probably
In-
would help, I know having more coverage too. I mean,
There's
people
more
go on
people that we can
vacation, people are
utilize.
sick.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
let's, also, the other thing too is we have a $30,000 payout to the former previous chief that
Right.
falls in this year as well, so
Okay.
that won't reoccur the following year.
So we'll save that.
No,
Next year.
but the following year, not
Right.
this year.
Not this year.
No, the
Right,
following
so
year.
that's a good,
That's a good
that's
point.
that's
Yep.
something we might have
Thank
to
you.
keep in consideration
So
for this.
Does adding those 2, I'm not sure, what is the NFPA standard, does that bring us up to their minimum staffing? Or not
It doesn't, it gets us closer.
A lot closer.
So we're going in the direction, basically, 4 is the magic number for NFPA, OSHA for 2 in, 2 out rules that we follow. For Department of Health, it would be 2 staffed ambulances. So the goal, and I've kind of repeated this to a lot,
Right.
is 4 is where we're really looking at getting to be meeting the standards. But 3 all the time is better than 3 sometimes and 2 sometimes. And we're moving in the right direction, and I think we're moving at a pace that we're able to do it financially, that it makes sense. We're not trying to throw, 7 new guys and, all the cost of that. So it's something we could work towards. I know we floated the idea of, there's grants for personnel. They want you to be compliant with NFPA. So we would stand a much better chance if we need X amount of guys, that gets us over the goal line. So that's something that I would think, maybe next year or something, that's something we'd be working on. But this kind of gets us closer now.
So we're adding a fire chief and 2 new personnel for $38,000, but 30 of that is which, former payoff, so it's really about 8,000?
We're not adding a fire
I
chief.
guess
The
no,
fire
the
chief
fire
is
chief
always
is-
in there.
is there.
The Chiefs,
Who's budgeted?
the Chiefs budgeted one way or the other.
Right.
The legacy cost to the former fire chief, they're in the budget one way or the other. So it was kind of to illustrate, we were gonna have increases no matter
Right.
what. Also with contractual increases from this past year. So no matter what, we were paying more, because if you were to just look at the increased cost from this past year to what we're proposing for 12, it's like wow, that's a big increase. But when you look at, well, if we just stay status quo, and it's that $39,000 difference, so.
Of which though 30,000 disappears the next year?
For next year, yeah, it's just only for the next fiscal year that there's
Okay.
that payment.
And insurance cost, what about insurance costs on those
The
employees?
the numbers that he gave you is everything.
So and I see that on the next, the second line, number 2 there,
Overtime.
the overtime is increased. If you're talking about hiring employees and you were gonna decrease overtime, wouldn't that number decrease?
It's actually
Because you've increased
more
on
in
both,
line-
you did it on both the ambulance and the fire protection lines.
Yeah, it's actually more in line with where we're actually at this year. We did have to add in the overtime was, I think, artificially low going into the budget this year, and we had to transfer money in because we already ran out of money on that. So even though it looks like we're going, it's actually maintaining where we were at this year. Because I think we were originally budgeted, what, 25,000 for this current fiscal year, and we ran out in January, February, we were out. So we but fortunately, we are still doing well on our regular personnel line. One of the positive or whatever impact of not hiring fire chief yet, we have kind of a surplus in there. So that's where we've just moved money around. So it's not really increasing, it's more maintaining where we're at right now.
Good, Tim.
And
Yeah.
these
Go ahead.
these personnel lines including promoting the next lieutenant, correct?
Correct. That is one of the things, and it was also brought up by the previous fire chief for last year, so not a new idea. Basically, it puts us in line with the settlement agreement between the village and the union from 2020 to get us to 4 lieutenants total. So it would just be promoting one firefighter who's been acting as lieutenant frequently for the last year, because he's the most senior firefighter who isn't a lieutenant. So it would be promoting him. There's no backfilling. It's just our total numbers stay the same. But the positive note for the village is the amount of acting hours that the village is paying on will decrease because he's in that position. So it's not a large increase in expense, but it does get us to where we need to be as far as having an officer on all the time.
I noticed that on your budget request for personnel was 505, 586, but that's not what the mayor's proposed budget was, which was 474. Is that going to impact you in any way if it's $31,000 less? Because it looks like you had pretty much figured out, because you had all the personnel, how many hours they're working with the additions, and that came to 505, 586. So how is, if we take the mayor's proposal, how will that impact that? Does that make any sense?
We don't have the mayor's impact in front of us. What was the difference?
Okay, well, according to,
Unless it's on here.
Do you
yeah,
have that sheet?
Yeah, that's it.
That was in the handout that
Here,
the
this.
proposed budget was 505, 586, but,
Right.
We're about 130,000 over last year.
yeah, and that's the confusion there.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Was that 505 incorrect? Because he's got, the department had proposed a 474, so somebody's off.
Not sure if that's something that was adjusted.
That was adjusted. We went through, he figured high to begin with for
Okay.
the employees, and then I went through and
Okay.
broke it down.
Okay, so
to
you
what it
worked
actually
through the
was.
list to come up with that 474 number.
Yeah,
then.
we've been working with
Okay.
Alyssa
Okay.
a lot to make sure, a lot of that was just kind of, assuming high on everything.
Okay.
Really just to make sure. that
I
we
just
didn't
want to make
go
sure it wasn't going to impact how you
Right.
thought you were going to schedule everybody. and-
For the 505, 586 was the original, was actually the original, but
Right.
Yeah.
after
Okay.
Alyssa.
So you have that number there, but I see you have it split between two departments at 474,085, which is a lot more than 507, 580.
No, the
You've got
505,
and half.
586 is ambulance,
What was that
and
about?
it's in each.
Yeah,
So if
Yeah,
you
they
look
just
at both.
repeated that number for ambulance.
yeah, everything's just split in half.
The regular personnel line and the personnel overtime lines are split between the fire and EMS budget. It's the fire department as a whole, but for the sake of billing and getting,
The cost recovery.
exactly, that's,
Yeah.
we need to show.
We
the
have to
expense.
show the expense on the ambulance side to be able to get the cost recovery.
Makes sense.
Okay. And it appears that everything else in your budget request was what the mayor's, ended up in the mayor's proposed budget. For the equipment, supplies, et cetera. That's,
Yeah.
that made his budget as well. Same numbers.
Yeah.
So this would be for one of the upper equipment. Okay, but here we have.
Yeah, definitely can tell you that those lines are pretty on the spot too. I think, Alyssa knows, last year, in certain lines, we ran out rather quickly, due to the, budget cuts that we received last year, but yet, actually, we had one, I think, we talked around the end of June last year, where with the equipment, and safety line, it was pretty much depleted because we had to buy a couple of sets of turnout gear, and we didn't have anything additional to do that with. So this is pretty on the mark of where we really need to be.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
bought,
really that much different from last year's
No.
either.
well, you bought more equipment this last year. Would that mean
Those-
that you also have to do the same thing this year, or is it because of the
Well,
equipment
the
line?
supplies line pretty much runs standard,
equi-
just,
the
the stuff that we buy every year.
The equipment safety line, it's increased. I would suggest we could take some out of there. I mean, is it possible?
It's actually not increased as much as it's restored.
Yeah.
To where it always has been. That was one of the things that was cut.
That was cut to like $6,600 last year, and that was absolutely not
The
enough.
last, okay, 6,600, yeah, it was. It was, back in '21, the actual amount was around 6,000, a little over 6,000. The previous budget would have been, the actual, I'm sorry, the actual amount used was about 6,000 for that '21 budget, but the amount was the 12,600.
So one of the reasons for also restoring that, Jim, too, is the fact that when we have new members that join, we have to supply their equipment and so forth. So this takes in, that line item is what takes into account buying additional turnout gear. You can see, I don't know
If there's two
if you have our
new
original budget, it talks about, hoods, gloves, helmets, coats, pants in there. And that's actually what we're looking at. It may not be entirely spent, but it may be entirely spent.
Right, because we're
So-
talking about, we're gonna have to outfit potentially 3 brand-new employees, so.
So you would need an increase in that.
And also physicals are included on that line. We're paid
Yeah.
nearly $4,000 this budget year on physicals, leaving a little over so basically 2,600 left for everything else. One set of turnout gear is about $3,000. So,
It's expensive.
and that would be probably more for, if my gear is damaged in a fire, contractually, the village has to replace it.
Yeah. If it's
So-
got
so if
holes
we
or it's
spent-
burned, it's gotta be replaced.
Right.
so.
Exactly, so if
And
we
that's
spend
what you get,
$4,000 on
right?
physicals and I need my gear
Okay.
replaced for $3,000, that's $7,000, and we have 6,600 this year. So
Right.
we're waiting on a couple sets of gear. If they come in this budget year, we're gonna have to do a budget transfer to be able to pay for them. If they don't come in, then we'll be okay, but
You'll also notice, I mean, I don't want to jump around all over, but you'll also notice in the capitals, we have money in the capital side because we are behind on replacement on gear. That's one of the reasons why both this line and the capital line is there to get us up to where we need to be.
Thoughts? We need to find some areas to take some of this budget down, guys.
Well, that's, yeah,
Wait,
let's go to the capital.
let's go to
request.
capital.
Let's look at the capital.
This power load, is it for one ambulance or is it for both?
One. The volunteer department has committed to buying one. It's kind of what we've done a lot with the village in the past, the 50-50. We buy one, the village buys one, or we split. So that's what we're doing, is we're outfitting both ambulances with the village buying one and the volunteer department buying one.
Okay.
How old is that HVAC system?
1979.
It's not new.
No, it was built, it's the original system. It has been worked on and repaired and updated a couple of times, but it definitely is in need of, at some point, replacement. Every year, we have the guys come in and they work on the air conditioning system and the heating, and they're kind of separate units throughout, but I have a main controller in the basement. And every year, those we have issues with them.
Did you get a estimate for that? Is
I
that
don't
where
think we have had a recent estimate.
not updated
No.
this year. I think they did one within the last couple of years, and that's
Yeah.
the numbers we were working off of.
Of those numbers, what is the least likely to be something you had to do this year?
Whatever you want to say.
Which one?
feel
Which
like
one
I'm
would you like me
talking
to? Which one would you like me to ask?
I know you've put off the stretcher thing before, but it's a $25,000 cost.
Of the,
I know it's.
Well, but how much would that save us if somebody doesn't blow out their back lifting a stretcher?
I was
Well,
going to say,
I mean, they've been doing that job for, all these years.
it
that's-
is obviously
We're
a
supposed to have
huge
fits-
back-saving device, and one injury could potentially wind up costing us a lot more than what the stretcher system does. But
That
I mean,
still
it's
goes.
supposed to be
wait,
in
hold on,
physical-
Jim.
physical
What do you
training.
guys think is the least thing on this, the least important thing on this list, before we go to Tim?
the roof, if we can wait 2 or 3 more years on the roof. That's probably the least most important thing at this point.
we can wait on the
Probably.
roof. I mean, the parking lot repairs, I mean, things like that, they'll
Yeah, we
cost
can-
more down the road, and they'll be in worse condition down the road, but, I mean,
We can patch and get by.
we can
Yeah.
survive without that. The building repairs, I know from what was proposed to what the mayor had budgeted, cut that about in half. I mean, we haven't sealed the floor in the fire station in many years. I mean, and a full replacement of that floor, I cannot even fathom how much money that would cost. So, I mean, I do feel like we should have some kind of preventative maintenance in there.
We've talked about in the past about even trying to do like an epoxy system on the floor in there to try to, to save what we have, so that, because obviously the longer you let it go, the salt and everything else that comes in and everything else, sooner or later the concrete begins to spall. Once it gets bad enough, you have to replace it. So at least sealing it or working, at some point, considering getting like an epoxy type system or seal on the floor would be a good thing.
Is there any value in the old ladder truck?
Yes, but I don't honestly, we just started meeting as a committee for the replacement of the truck, and I don't know what the value of the truck is at this point. I'm sure there's still value there as far as trade or sale, but I can't tell you exactly what it is just
And
yet.
that ladder truck, if you ordered it this year, that wouldn't impact this year's budget, would impact the next year's budget.
That's
So we
right.
need to keep in mind where we are for
Down the road.
whether it be employee costs or whatever else, what the payments would be on that. You have it listed as a 20-year cost. Do you know what that would be for the first year?
I do
Approximately?
not, but I can get it for you.
Is the proposed ladder truck a new build, or are we looking at something like we bought the last time?
It would be a new build, yeah.
Okay.
We kind of found out through what we purchased last time that maybe buying a demo that has been run 40, 50,000 miles around the country, showing off, wasn't exactly the smartest move on the last one. So we really feel that a new build is what really makes sense, and of course, half of that will come from the truck and equipment fund, the dedicated truck and equipment fund.
And as opposed to getting that truck a new pump, going through it and refurbishing it, what are you looking at on that?
The pump is not the issue on that truck. What's the issue on that truck is the continuous maintenance on the hydraulic systems and the sensors that system utilizes. We just spent about $5,000 during the last year to replace to rebuild the cylinder that is the main lift for the boom. It's becoming a maintenance headache is what it's doing. And
$5,000 is a lot cheaper than
I
$6
understand,
million.
but you're also talking about putting $5,000 at a pop, or big money into a truck that's also 23 years old at this point. So that's that's one of the things you gotta consider as well.
That ladder truck is, on average, say about 20 to 25% of our annual maintenance costs for that one truck alone. And Kurt hit the nail on the head. It's hydraulic issues. There's issues with sensors. There's no refurbing that. It is, I got the point we brought up before, is we got it in 2001. It's a 1999. It had 15 years of life on it the first day we put it in service.
You got 20.
Even though that truck is 23 years old, it's closer to 40. I mean,
Well,
it has
that's
been-
engine hours, though. It's not pump hours and hydraulic hours and stuff, though, correct?
Correct, and the pump, for the most part, it's not a major issue. We have some maintenance issues on it right now that we're waiting till next budget year on.
Yeah.
It's a constant issue. It's not gonna get better. I think some of the concerns that we have on it is when it does have a major hydraulic issue. I mean, they've given us estimates of that was just a cylinder that went, and it was out of service for.
The turntable itself could literally probably put us out of commission, and not probably to the point where we would be looking to replace the truck a lot quicker. There's a lot of issues with it.
And is that $1.6 million pretty much the same size truck? I mean,
That's
do we
building up,
need-
that's, what we're starting to look at so far with what the committee's talked about is a 100-foot aerial platform truck. It would not be an articulated boom truck like this one is. It would be a ladder with a boom. Or
How
with
many
a
feet is the
platform.
current one?
What's that?
How many feet is the current one?
118,
Okay, so it's a little smaller truck,
just
a
slightly.
little different style.
Yeah.
And what's our tallest building in the area?
Maidam Hall at about 8 stories,
So that's what, about 80 feet,
roughly.
roughly?
80, I think to the top of the roof is a little bit, but about 89, 80,
That's more.
87, 89.
So 100 foot gives you the power to shoot down onto the building if you had to.
Correct.
Okay. just asking questions, I'm not
Oh, yeah,
against
no,
this stuff, I just want to
Your-
understand.
Your maintenance budget is about 40, is listed as $40,000, so you're talking 25% of that budget. Is not very much money. Overall, 25% of your maintenance budget, that doesn't equate to very much money.
I mean, over time, it equates to a lot of money. I mean, we're talking over the course of the last 20 or so years we've had it. I mean, that's probably cost a couple $100,000 in maintenance costs just to fix issues with it, which you expect some
Well, you
maintenance
expect
issues.
over that amount of time, you expect maintenance to be that.
I mean,
It's
you also,
serviced it's serviced well for that amount of time, and you should keep it in good condition. I'm just trying to justify those costs against a $1.6 million purchase.
But I think their point is, all right, we've spent this much money and it's still not in good condition.
Well, of course. Well,
We're
And
a
it's-
major hydraulic
and-
issue away from it being a 40-ton paperweight that we will have no
It's not worth
trade-in
it, no
value
value.
and will not serve the community at all, which is
Right.
a major
Exactly.
concern. So that was
It's-
one of the
So-
points
so
with
you-
it.
Yeah.
You're
Is
looking at
it's
trade-in value.
not something that
It's-
we'd have to pay this coming budget year or the year after that. We're looking
Yeah.
24, 25 before we
What would
actually
the
receive
trade-in
it.
value
Well, that's right, because you won't receive it until,
We're looking, it would probably
3
be,
years,
sorry, I'm
right?
trying to,
Yeah, no, it's
it would
okay.
probably be the rest of this year to
Right.
look at trucks, spec out a truck, find out what really suits the department and the community for what's the best
Right.
bang for our buck, go out to bid beginning of 2023, and it's a year and a half to 2 years build time. So we really do need to get the ball rolling, because everything we talk about, we're looking almost 3 years down the road.
18 to 24 months, once the truck's ordered for delivery.
And that
So-
was pre-COVID number, correct?
Correct.
Oh,
Is there grants and other stuff that's possible to help towards this cost?
We will look into anything that we possibly can to help offset it, obviously.
Okay, so that's a possibility in the next 2 years, we could, if we've got something ordered online, we can go after some of those as well.
And as Kurt did say, so that 1.6, I mean, that is also less the dedicated equipment fund that gets paid out of the town contract. So there's money coming from that also. There's whatever else we can get out of equity of the current truck.
Right.
It's very necessary. I mean, we could try to nickel and dime that thing. It's been an issue my entire career. It's not getting better.
Some of the parts for that truck, believe it or not, were actually made in Sweden or Finland.
They're starting to not make
And
parts.
the parts are not gonna be
That's
available.
And that's
So
another massive issue.
It's 20, it's, like I say, it's 23 years old, and it's just time to consider, replacing it.
Are we looking in this sideline thing, but are we looking at a truck that's more, and I know it's hard to say, built in America, that kind of stuff is gonna be,
Most everything that we look at, that we're looking at is constructed here.
is like the LaFrance company or whatever in Buffalo still there, that's,
That's E1, it's in Buffalo,
Yeah.
but they're not building anything here at all. But we are looking at, where there's about 7 vendors that we've started to look at. We've assigned each one of the people on the committee of looking at the truck to a different vendor to make contact and start finding out, getting information on what's available.
I'm
So,
just looking at the
We're
COVID.
we're early in the process right
Yeah,
now.
I'm just looking at the COVID problems, and if they continue down the road, we don't want a bunch of stuff that's
Yeah.
relying on foreign computer chips and Swedish pumps and whatever else that,
Sure.
so.
Yeah, so it really is essential for us to get the ball rolling. The only other thing I'll say, because I know it's one of the concerns that's usually brought up, do we actually need a ladder truck? I know the city of Dunkirk just purchased a new ladder truck within last, year, 2
It
years?
was about a year ago they
About a
got
year
it.
ago.
Yeah.
They got it.
Yeah.
They have one, why do we need one? It comes down to ISO, which is
Yeah.
basically what sets the insurance ratings for us.
Yeah.
We have, for the size of our district, for the buildings in our district, we have to have a ladder truck available to us and responding to calls. If we don't have that, it will negatively impact the ISO score. Everybody's insurance will go up, especially commercial
Commercial, big
rates. It would be a massive, tax hike if we don't have it. And so that's the other concern, if we have a massive issue with this ladder truck, and that's one of the issues that we're trying to bring up is, okay, you say, yes, we can get the ball rolling in this budget, we're still looking at a few years before we get it. Well, if we say no, And then 6 months from now, is a catastrophic failure, we're in no man's land. There's no quick, easy fix. So it's being proactive, I think, will save money down the line, so.
Okay.
It's kind of also like this, you know, similarly, we have done some work on our pumper engine 12 to refurb it and maintain it. ISO requires us to have 3 pumpers for the size of the district that we cover. And so it's a similar type of thing. It's kind of like, you know, you'd love to say, hey, we could just get rid of one, but unfortunately, it impacts a lot more things,
Right.
so.
All right. So taking a look back at your capital project, I think, are we looking at maybe reducing that parking lot and the building repair lines?
Well, that's
he
things
didn't-
that
He
they,
didn't have it, he didn't have the parking lot in there.
Yeah, that's parking lot.
It says parking. It
Oh,
doesn't say
yeah.
HVAC, it's parking.
Yeah, that's parking lot and the building repairs.
The
not
mayor took out the
HVAC.
HVAC. There's looking at 45,000 for parking. That parking needs, I mean,
If we
Oh,
if we
he
can, if we can have, if we have to cut something, I'd rather cut that than anything, so.
Okay.
you'd rather
You know,
cut the
we may need some dollars for patching and doing that
Right.
kind of stuff. Maybe the streets department can help us out with some of that too. You know, if you get a project where they're doing some of the,
Right.
some roadways or something, maybe they can do some
okay.
additional with us.
And I know you're really looking at those two employees. Could we work with one this year? I mean, it would make a huge dent in this budget for even if we reduce those from 2 to 1
But then
employees.
we couldn't do that schedule change because we won't have enough guys to do it.
Yeah, it's
So
not
it's-
worth
so
it to
it's
do
So
it.
kind
it's
of-
either do 2 or none.
It kind of
That's
hinges
kind
on
of
that,
it.
yeah.
It really does.
And
If we did one, we can't switch the
Unfortunately, we don't
schedule.
have a chief yet, that the new chief is on staff yet.
Right.
So we're making assumptions based on what you guys are proposing. We don't know what the new chief would consider. So I don't know where we want to go.
Well, I don't
with
think the new chief would be thinking anything really much different than I would be thinking, because I was in the position of, as the fire chief for 4 years prior to Ryan Walker's arrival, and I've been back for a year now since Ryan's departure, so. I would say that really, I don't think the new chief is gonna think much differently. He may have some other things that he wants to prioritize or make a little slightly different, but I think that what we're proposing here are pretty much, for the most part, necessities to keep us operating the way we need to
scheduling,
do
isn't
it,
it?
yeah.
Yeah. I think it helps with the scheduling, Jim.
Yeah.
Plus, we will save money, and maybe we'll get more money if we're
Yeah,
working
I
on
don't,
the
Well, we're
weekend.
not
I don't know
gonna-
that, I don't
well,
know
we're
that it's an outright savings,
not
but
a
I think
savings. I
it's
mean,
a
you've-
smarter
But
spend.
it's a, yeah,
Your overall budget
I
from,
think you get
compared
the
to
most
last
bang for
year's
your
was
buck.
about
Yeah.
100.
I do too, yeah.
You know, I feel comfortable dropping the $45,000 for the parking lot, taking that right out.
well, I think we'd have to, I mean, we've.
Sure, that's in
probably-
capital, but I'm just,
Yeah.
as in their.
Just their
in the
overall budget.
Overall
I think we
budget
need to leave a little of that
expenditures.
45,000 in
We're-
there for pothole repairs
Patches.
and whatnot.
The streets.
well, the streets
I
can
mean,
do it.
because they're only talking
We would
Yeah.
charge.
actually, the new part of, the front part of the parking lot has been recently done. It's just the
The
back.
front apron
Right,
is
the
relative.
front apron is
That's-
new.
That's.
Right, it's the back,
Yeah,
back
it's the
and
back.
side that they're considering, and the side's not that bad. It's the back where they go in and out of that, you might need some shoring up. So that really wouldn't be much of anything.
Okay, so you guys want to cut the 45 out of that?
Well, that's, right, that's out of the capital fund, but as far as the general expenses, we're still quite high above last year's budget. I'm just trying to work down from that area.
I mean, I don't know
Like
that there's
100
really,
30, almost $134,000 above last year's budget.
I mean, I know, Jim, when you mentioned it, it was, we're higher than last year's budget, but quite honestly, last year's budget was not sufficient.
And also, they only budgeted
I mean, I'm just being,
$50,000 for the chief.
yeah, yes.
So right there, there's 50.
The fire chief's position was underfunded significantly.
Yeah.
So this budget funds it to.
Well,
what is gonna be
we have an increase of
competitive.
revenues, hopefully from the normal 150,000, now we're 400,000 due. So that should cover some of what this budget, we're looking to put into it too, so.
Yeah, last year for the revenue, we were budgeted at 300, and we're up to 350 this year, expecting some additional transports too, so.
So we're looking at additional transports and hopefully additional recovery of monies from the
Yes.
previous years.
We're busier
Previous
this year than we were last year. We're already like over 500 calls or so this year, so that puts us on track for over 2,000. 2 years ago, so 2020 was one of our slowest years in a while, COVID, and it's been increasing ever since. So there's no reason to expect any changes that things wouldn't be going in that direction. So.
Those, and when you're talking about about last year's budget, we've had to make quite a few transfers because of that last year's budget to be able to get it to where we needed to be.
So with those transfers, you were transferred from one line in your budget to other lines, so meaning that you had a little bit of extra wiggle room in some lines to move to the other lines. Alyssa, can you identify something?
It actually came pretty much mostly out of personnel, and that would have been what was
The fire
in there
chief.
for fire chief.
Is there any other, is there any
I-
thoughts of reductions from anyone on this board at this point? At this point anyhow.
Other than the 45 capital on the parking lot and the 25,000 on the lift stretcher portion, I mean, those are the only two things that I could see we could.
Yeah, I think as far as the general budget though, it's,
To what?
as far as their general budget, I think it's
Satisfactory to me.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
If last year's budget would have included the full salary for police chief, or for fire chief, I think this budget, which is called more realistic, is maybe 40,000 more.
Yeah.
And that
If you
includes
look at it that way.
another,
Yeah.
yeah, and that includes 2 more.
That's why I'm really trying to emphasize, if we stay status quo, the difference between that and increasing the 2 people and switching things, it's not as, it is an increased cost, but it's.
And there's a 30,000 mandatory payout out of that as well, so.
That's part, so that's an increase no matter what.
We can't
Bringing
avoid
the
that.
fire
That's
chief's
built in
salary
budget.
back up to what had been previously paid. That's one of the things of, well, why did we increase the pay? The pay wasn't increased, it was just,
What, when you were doing the budget, what did you use for a chief's salary?
I think we just did a flat 100,000,
100,000,
just as a kind of a
As a-
place filler that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's probably not too far off from
Yeah.
probably where we're gonna wind up, I'm guessing.
But there's still benefits, that does include benefits and insurance, that's just the wages.
Yeah.
Correct. And the only other thing I would say, just in defense of the ambulance power load system, because it sounds like that is a potential casualty. The total cost for that is about $50,000, and so that is 25,000 coming from the
That's a-
volunteer corporation there. So it is a split cost. I mean, we've had injuries lifting stretchers into the back of the ambulance. One of the best things that, and everybody has it now, is we have the power lift stretcher. So you hit a button, it's all on hydraulics, goes up, it goes down. He's way worse than me. He used to have to pick the whole stretcher up and run in the back of the ambulance. I at least came from when I started, we had to manually lift them up. And so now the standard is the hydraulic lift. The missing link is getting it in the back of the ambulance, because you have to get, and for some of these patients that we have that are 500-600 pounds, you gotta get 3 guys crammed on the back to try to lift it, to get the leg, wait for all the legs to come up, and then push it in the back. And we've had injuries, back injuries of people
And
lifting.
that's an easy, I don't know, how long does it take for those legs to come up? Probably 5-6 seconds that you're
Something
standing there?
like that, yeah.
And it's,
And honestly, the other thing is with the volunteer department being willing to step up and pay for half, I think it's a really, I mean, it's, in my opinion, it's a really good thing when the volunteers are willing to split it with the village.
Is
and
that,
be
is
able to
that
do
something
that.
we're gonna be able to get in a short period of time, or is that something that's a year out as well?
No, we could actually, if we get the approval, we can probably have it ordered and probably here by sometime in around July, I would
I
say.
think it would move pretty quick, so.
Yeah.
I'd hate to lose out on $50,000 worth
Yeah.
of equipment for a $25,000 cost, that's,
I mean, it's good to know that half of that is covered by the volunteers. That's
Exactly.
something I didn't know, so
yeah.
that's good to know.
And so we have 3 ambulances, it would outfit the 2 that we keep in service. We have 1 reserve ambulance.
Oh,
for-
so that's actually for 2 power lifts then?
For 2.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's two complete systems for
Okay, so this is
2.
getting better now. We're now.
Hey, see, that's why I was saying that I
Good stuff. Then don't bury the headlines here, people.
Well, it does say two of them in the budget.
Yes,
That's in
yeah.
ambulance stretcher power lift systems. All right.
All right, so we can live without the parking lot repairs.
We definitely need the turnout gear, as we brought up
Yeah.
before,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
behind on that. We'll have new employees, new volunteers, the village is required to outfit them. We have any damaged gear that needs to be replaced.
Is that in addition to the equipment safety?
Correct.
Safety equipment?
Correct.
Yes, so that would basically be for purchase of new gear. That equipment safety line is going to be, that's physicals, that's if we have to repair gear, something like that.
Okay.
Just so you understand too, prior to last year, we were proposing an annual $10,000, 10 sets or 10,000? 10 sets.
That was 10 sets.
10 sets. We originally were proposing 10 sets per year to keep it going, and the reason why is because the gear that we have has a 10-year life on it. At the end of 10 years, if you're an interior firefighter, it gets thrown away. It's done. Whether it's got holes, whether it's burned, whether it's whatever, 10 years it expires.
Okay.
So we were trying to stay into the place where every year we buy so many sets, and then we stay up on top of it.
Okay.
And we're in good shape then.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Any other thoughts before we let these gentlemen go?
No, I'm good.
I
Good.
think we're okay. So
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, please.
What do we got next?
Good rest of your night.
Thank you very much.
Or listen.
Have a good night.
thank you.
Okay.
So,
Guess we're going to begin with the public safety. The only thing I found as far as revenues that are still low are the parking meter
oh, yeah.
revenues are
What
significant.
parking meter?
And I know you did address this recently.
I did.
And I see that the mayor has suggested a $30,000 revenue area for the parking meters. Once again, that's significantly lower than it had been in the past years, less than half. If,
Wrong way.
Sir, as I explained at the meeting, it's one of the things that I did recognize, and it was addressed with the day shift sergeant and the midnight sergeant. People have been assigned, and a plan has been put together to manage the meters.
And I appreciate that.
Thank
I'm sure this whole board does.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Is it possible that those revenues might be slightly higher than what the mayor,
Higher than 30?
yeah, estimated? I know you've been with the force for a long time, but I don't know if you watched that area, though.
I would not be comfortable saying it's gonna be more. I would not wanna mislead the board. When I noticed what was collected after the meters obviously had been full, it appeared as if it was roughly $3,000. And if I anticipate that over 10 to 12 months, I would assume it'd be, I think 30 is a good estimate. I am not familiar with how much we generate with the parking tickets we issue. I don't know if that money is in the same fund line as,
No,
no,
it's not.
okay.
Well, I think, Jim, what we can say is, to date, or as of March 15th, with a lot of the meters gone,
Yeah.
still at 26.5.
We're still at 26, yeah.
So 30 seems kind of
Kind of low.
meager.
It really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
that's a very
it's-
good point.
Yeah, it's gone down, in 21, 22.
62,
It was,
estimated to be 62.
last year was, or this year's 50.
I mean, we should, by the end of this fiscal year, actually meet that, at least 30,000, if not more.
I would think, yeah.
So to estimate, after you've made your changes, and have a full year with all the parking meters, I would assume it'd be slightly higher. Can we,
May I ask historically where we came in 2019, 2020?
Well, in 2021, the adjusted was 62,000. For 21, 22, it's 50,000, so 30 just seems really, really low unless we've, I don't know.
Yeah.
that's why I thought we'd be able to bump it to, up.
50?
Up to 50,
Up to
I would
50,
think,
right.
yeah.
I figured 20,000 up is what I
Yeah.
did. That's what I had on here.
Yeah. I think so.
Is that reasonable?
At least what it was last year.
Yeah.
Everybody
Makes
okay with
sense.
that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a revenue increase of 20,000 on that line. I don't know if there's any other areas that we're gonna be able to increase more than the.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll go to expenditures. The fun part. Who'd like to start?
So you had, or somebody had written on the personnel that there's a couple possible retirements by the end of the year, it looks like. I don't know if you had written that, but somebody had written it.
What I can indicate to you is that 4 officers and 1 dispatcher are eligible to retire. My dispatcher has indicated that it's possible she will be retiring. But nobody else has indicated to me that they will be seeking retirement. They are just eligible.
Okay.
Okay.
The overtime line, I guess, is my I looked at possibly taking maybe, just a few thousand out of that.
On
Another-
315, we were at 52,000.
Right, that's why, so if,
So I'm not sure how much, we have about 10 weeks left. I'm not sure how much you can take out of there without,
well, so if
Cutting
you
it.
added, I mean, you know, I figured $10,000 more for till the end of the year, and then so I figured taking out 3 would put us at 63,842. Does anybody agree with that at all?
Well, the last year's budget was 60, so this was up a little over 6,000 for
Right.
some reason.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
I know the proposed was 76,800, but the mayor did reduce it by 10, but I still think we could go another 3.
Dave, or, I'm sorry, Chief Price, was there a reason that you had it at 76, because that's such a jump from the last one?
Well, it's recognizing where we were coming in at this year. And I still see us, I don't have part-time personnel because there's nobody to hire, to supplement and save on overtime.
Okay.
So contractually, I'm only filling contractually guaranteed overtime, which means I'm providing people with the time off that contractually they get, and there are times it does create situations of overtime.
We should be able to rectify all
I would-
that into next year, I would think, though, wouldn't?
I would-
I mean,
We're
this
looking
is
at 2 new officers, correct?
One.
one,
One? Why did I see something about 2 additional, or?
And he's already been hired, he's gonna start April.
Yeah.
He starts in April,
April, yeah,
Oh, he's already hired.
yeah.
okay, so that's,
and he replaces somebody who retired.
Right. So you'll be at the same number.
He's not, he's not an additional officer. He replaces a retirement.
He's requesting a 17th full-time.
well, right, the idea was that you would be removing part-time officers and replacing with full-time officers. A full-time officer.
When we hired April Echeverria, we replaced her with, her assignment was, we got rid of 2 part-time officers.
Right,
Okay.
And I don't, may I speak?
Yeah.
sure,
Over here?
absolutely.
I just want the board to know, this is my first budget, but I did it keeping in mind that I know and understand the village has a lot of things on its plate. I am a resident. I know there's a lot of need in the water department, the wastewater department, in the water lines. The infrastructure is of utmost importance. I tried to maintain a frugal budget meeting our needs. I actually, the numbers I utilized other than personnel, because that was a contractual number, and the fuel, you see the fuel went up. It would have been unreasonable for me to plug in last year's number,
Yeah.
Right,
knowing gasoline may see $6-7 a gallon.
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If they don't, we'll be better off in the end of the year. But the numbers I did plug in for every other line, I actually took from the 2019-2020 budget.
Right,
Okay.
So it's trying to maintain a level of frugalness while balancing the needs of the village. And I did, and I took the same thought process when I asked for my capital projects. When we get to the capital, I'll explain my thought process there, but I didn't ask for 100 items. I maintained the thought of one item was to educate, and the other, it's something we use every day. So
Okay.
I'll explain that when we get to capital.
When we.
Looking at the overtime line, I know we're stretched for overtime right now. And it is, you know, the national standard is usually your overtime is 10% of your budget, your personnel, your budget line. We've been below that. I'm trying to stay within the neighborhood, recognizing that we are at the upper limits of our overtime already. So, Jim, I can say, if you feel comfortable moving $3,000 out of there, I do that saying I may have to move money at the end of next year again, like we're doing now. But I understand trying to get close to where we were last year.
Right.
But I'm just at a
If
fine
I
line.
may, I think a better place to move it out of looks like maybe supplies, because we have budgeted 20,000 and he's spent not even 5.
Yeah, that doesn't seem,
Yeah, why is it so low?
Right.
Well, that's another additional place.
Some of that was actually also transferred out of there.
Yeah, that
To
cannot be
gasoline.
accurate, because we just took a
Cover
$5,000
gasoline.
transfer.
That's just what
out of
was budgeted, but then we moved.
Okay. But either way, your supply line
supply,
is in, yeah, because that was moved for gas and, yeah, so we could probably not.
Between the two, I'm comfortable taking 3,000-4,000 between the two lines.
Between the,
Okay.
I mean, if taking 2 from the supply and 2 from the overtime,
2 from supply, 2 for overtime. And what about the maintenance line, the equipment maintenance line? That's I know you look back to previous years. I mean, when, I know 2 years back and say what it used to be 2 years, but the previous year, things were cut because we had to make significant cuts in order to have a reasonable budget that the community could accept. And again, we need to try to do that. I'm kind of looking back into last year's budget to see where we are, not 2 years back or 3 years back. So
so right now I'm at 23 for maintenance, correct?
Yes.
23, you currently have 18, a little over 18,000 used. I was just wanted to, if we just take it down to 20,000 as opposed to 23. I see the actual use in 21 was 12,000. I know that back then it was 23, but if in 21, the actual use was about 13,000. And the current use is 18. So
Knowing I'm going up 10,000 in gas, I understand reducing the maintenance line to 3,000.
yeah, so by 3,000. So
I just,
Down to 20.
I share with you, I asked for the increase because of my capital deduction, and I'm gonna make that pitch in a minute.
what do you
What
all
about
think?
travel and training?
Can we reduce that one or no?
I
That
think we
was-
can.
Is that-
I think
Yeah,
so.
it's
Well, let's-
7,000,
Okay, let's
but,
go to the 20, we're taking three
As of-
out of the maintenance.
okay.
Okay, and so, okay, travel and what? I'm sorry, I cut you off. I
Oh, no, that's
apologize.
okay. Travel and training. We spent well under 7,000.
We haven't yet, though.
What was,
The-
but is there something coming up now that we're gonna be,
Well, there will be,
there will be?
Ammunition.
yes.
And
Gotcha.
ammunition is insanely high.
Okay,
7 doesn't even cover the ammunition we need.
that
but-
goes
but
under
it-
training and training?
Training,
Training.
fire
Training.
training.
oh,
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
for a while there, they had extra
Yeah.
ammunition. Now there's probably getting to the
Is that
point where
what it
they,
is?
yeah,
Oh,
they did.
Okay.
It's probably getting,
Okay.
this was a few years ago.
I
Seems
just
like
saw a big difference there. I just
the,
had to ask. Yeah.
the funds, the current appropriations on uniforms is awfully low too. Is that because people are laundering better?
They usually do it towards the end. They submit
what they
their,
do?
it's contractual, so it has to
Right.
be at
Oh,
the
okay.
amount it
Right.
is.
All right.
Okay. All right. Where else do we go?
You see some lines like that, I put a stop on spending because when I came in, there was a disparity. Those lines weren't getting spent, but overtime and fuel had blown us out of the water. Ursula had shared with me, keep an eye on your other lines because the fuel and the overtime are taking a beating this year. And so I really have been frugal with some of the other items. Like I have not purchased hardly anything. We're on a meter rotation right now, where we were buying new digital meters and replacing them yearly, and we're buying lots of 20 at a time. I didn't do that this year because there was a chance I needed that $6,000 for fuel, and right now that's almost 1 month of fuel.
Wow.
Is it really?
Yeah. So
On the on-street parking personnel, is that separated out from, I mean, that's additional to the other personnel?
On-street parking personnel is a combination of one of the police officers and a portion of the court.
That has a portion of the court in there. Okay. And what portion of the police department is then added to the personnel line?
I think it's 25% of one of the officers.
It says 25% of Greg Myers.
Okay, yeah.
That's what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, because I saw that and I just asked her, what is that 25% of Greg Myers?
Yeah, that's what it is.
So that bumps our personnel line up by that much money? Correct?
With his increase and then the projected increase for the increases with their contract and the projected increase for CSEA, it would raise it more, yes.
Yeah. I guess I don't quite understand why there's we have a separate cost for parking personnel when it's just part of his duties that the chief assigns.
That's the way it's been set up.
It's been
My-
forever. Yeah.
my old chief used to ask the same question
I know.
to everybody. There's been a portion of the Christine's salary taken out, placed into the police budget, and they broke out a portion of a patrolman's salary and put it on that same line to show, for some reason, on-street parking
The cost.
as its own
So it's
breakout.
maybe more like cost recovery, like the fire department split between ambulance and fire as opposed to, okay.
I'm just trying to justify the cost.
All right, that makes more sense than just Greg Myers 25%.
No. They had to pick a name. They had to pick somebody, and at the time, Greg was the
Yep, he
senior
was it.
patrolman.
No, I
so-
just saw it, I saw him look through a bunch and go, what the heck is
Right.
this?
Okay,
Just put random stuff on there.
all right, so I guess
I'm like, that was a heck of a promotion.
unless there's any
back
other
there. What are we
questions,
talking
we
about?
move to capital.
Yeah, we can move to capital.
I'm good with that.
This area it's not really huge here. He always has, there's been a rotation of cars. They try to keep one each year purchased. They've got 47,000 for that in there. The newest car, wasn't that long ago you received it, because it was purchased late in the year last year, because they weren't sure if there was gonna be enough funding, but it turns out the department did have enough funding to make that purchase. Over last year, so is that That one, the newest one is in service now, isn't it?
It is in service.
Okay.
Where do we
And-
stand with the new motor on the,
That is bought and paid for.
okay.
Okay. So that one, so that's for the investigator, correct?
That is the investigator's vehicle. That is, car number 171 is the 2014 Explorer. That's the one sitting out there. It's 115,000 miles on it with the new motor, excuse me, a
New
motor
used.
from a junkyard
Yeah.
and a rebuilt transmission. We are trying to get the car painted. I need to get 3 quotes. We have 3 quotes. The problem is somebody having the time to do it for us. The auto industry is another one that they're having a hard time finding people to work. And the 3 paint shops have that same problem right now.
And are the cars overall in good enough condition can we delay one year on this purchase of this car, knowing that you just recently got the newest one
Well-
to replace the old one, or not?
I don't think it's a good idea. And
I know they get a lot of use, get a lot of miles.
See,
that's,
there's the miles.
if I can draw your attention to this,
Yeah, right.
you'll see that we have 4 cars that are used in 24/7 round-the-clock daily patrol. Now, there are times where there's only 2 in service or 3 in service, but what you can see is out of those 4 patrol vehicles, each one averages about every car averages gaining 25,000 miles a year. So where we're at right now it shows we have 2 brand new 2021s. Reality is they were bought almost a year apart. You have an early
Right,
line model and a late year model.
right.
So those are 25,000 miles apart.
Yeah.
The problem we got right now is if we were to order the car June 1st when the new budget is appropriated, it will take 6 to 9 months for us to get that car back and in service. So by the time we order and receive that new car, add another 25,000 miles to each one of these cars. So now you're gonna be pushing cars up near 100,000 miles.
Is that price that you have established, is that with the trade-in? I mean, you would be trading in one of the older vehicles, or would they, or?
That price of the Explorer is, I called,
I know DeLacy has one right now around that price.
the Lacey, and that's the price they gave me. They just sold one to Evans PD. That's the other that brings out the other problems I have. When we were looking for brake pads, I had to call the procurement center in Albany, and they're telling us everything has a long 6 months to a year delay on it because of raw material problems in the country. Dodge Fleet is making no fleet vehicles this year. So they said not till early 2023. You can't buy any police cars from Dodge right now. Chevy's too expensive. The only thing they have are Tahoes. So if I was to buy anything right now, it would have to be the Ford. If we put off 1 year on the Ford, add 50,000 miles to each one of these, and I'm gonna be sitting here asking you for 2 cars next year.
Right.
Okay, that's really what I needed.
And
Yeah.
Well, technically, if we buy it this year, we're not gonna see it probably till next year's budget anyways.
correct, and that's why I'm saying,
Well,
if
no,
we
no,
don't,
no, it's no.
It'll come in
It'll
this
come in
year.
during-
it'll come in, and
during-
it'll take
come in
6
at
to
the
9
end.
months
It'll come
Yeah.
in during the
to
budget,
get it
Dave.
Yeah.
on the
It'll be
road.
about this time.
You really think it's gonna be 6 to 9 months?
It always is.
So,
I'm seeing Ford is right now saying they're gonna send out vehicles without computer chips. And you can buy,
How could they do that?
well, it
then
doesn't work.
they're gonna send them out without computer chips, and a year from now, they're gonna guarantee you that certain things are gonna be like heated seats and stuff like that will then become working, but right now, to meet some supply.
Do you have heated seats?
No, but I'm just saying in general, that's the, I know we're looking at tractors a year and a half out, 2 years out on getting some of this stuff.
When the economy was good, we would order June after the budget's passed. We take possession of it late September. By the time you get it outfitted and put on the road, add another 2 months, just like it was this year. So in a good year, from June 1st, we weren't seeing that car till December. I can tell you the last 2 cars we just purchased were a good 9 months to a year.
That's, I'm good.
Yeah.
You don't have to
The
explain.
dealer is telling me
Yeah.
6 to 9 months, and I share that with you. That's what,
I don't want,
I don't have a problem with buying it now, but I don't think
Yeah.
we're gonna see the thing, is what I'm saying.
well, I don't want, if we don't order it, I don't want them to
Yeah,
be
but we
stuck
have to
without a
have it.
vehicle.
We should.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is if we
That's what
don't
I-
order it
yeah.
now,
Right.
it's gonna be, it could be a
2
year,
years.
and if we wait a year, it could be
Who knows?
2 on top of
The only
that.
other,
correct, and
only
I'll be
other,
looking at vehicles. If you look at
yeah, it's fine.
not our frontline vehicles, but our unmarked vehicles,
Right.
I have an aging fleet. It's 115,
Those are-
83,000
A
miles,
lot of
and
miles.
Right.
100,000 miles.
Right.
There's nothing to revert to if one of those 4 breaks down. And if you're looking at putting 50,000 miles on something,
Right.
you're correct. If we don't order in June, it could be 2 years before we see something. At the least, the best case scenario, year and a half.
Yeah, so, I
So
mean,
the other item here is the computers, and I understand why you would need them. They're
You
old.
would need new
Yeah.
computers,
They're,
definitely.
they're aging out too. They're not, I can understand that.
So we discussed only purchasing 2. Chief Price and I met because he was concerned about his capital projects, and that way he can put 1 new one in the new patrol car, keep another new one in case one of them goes down, and then start rolling that cost in with the next patrol car.
So that
So
would-
each new patrol car gets a new computer.
So that would bring it down from the 12
6.
down
That
to
brings it down to
6.
6.
Okay, so
And-
we'll take 6 out of there. That's fine. I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that. If you're good with that,
But I just want the board to understand that we don't have carbon tickets anymore, carbon accident reports. Everything we do is on the computer now.
Yep.
And the
Yeah.
computers in the cars are 6 years,
Right.
approaching 6 years, and in technology time.
That's old.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I
right.
just want you to know where we're at if you're presented with the question.
Okay.
The, I'm sorry, the radio repeater in Maiden Hall, that's budgeted for this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's already
so that's
taken care
11
of.
off
That's already
there.
done.
That's
Yeah.
off the list, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've,
Yeah.
that fit in this year's budget, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
okay.
What about the bowler rack?
That was, that was under his request. The
Yeah.
mayor had taken that out.
Oh, he took it out. Okay.
Can
Did
I
you wanna
make my
talk about
pitch
it?
for my officer?
Sure.
Sure.
Denied. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I ask you to listen then.
Thank you.
Can't have a little fun, you can't have a party.
This is, so this isn't included in this,
No,
right?
and neither was the car or the computers.
No, his,
It's listed, but it's not.
no, it's, yeah.
It was not included in the budget, no.
Yeah, it was not in his proposed budget. None of those.
That's right, that's right, I wrote it down. So we.
I
we added those.
requested, and it was not in his budget, I want the board to understand where the department is at right
45
now.
out of here.
Okay,
We've cut at least this much out of his.
But we're now adding 47 in the.
We have 2 part-time officers left. One is Officer Chloe, and the other I have yet to hire. It's been vacant for a couple months, because frankly, we don't have a qualified person to hire. And it's important we hire qualified, competent people. As you can see there, I've laid out each officer, 2 part-time officers equate to a full-time officer's hours. I've laid out what those 2 people should be making and what should be what is proposed in our budget this year, $39,500 for those 2 employees. Full-time officer would release those 2 employees, or 1, and we would hire a full-time person at step 2. and you can see the difference is probably approximately $15,000. And so the board understands why I've asked and where we were at. I see this as an opportune time for the department to absorb that cost. As you can see, the two part-timers almost make the minimum salary of a new employee. The current academy class, we've already hired 5 people out of it and they haven't even graduated yet. So our employee shortage for this county isn't going away. When us chiefs, the 5 or 6 chiefs in the county meet, it's like we're trading baseball cards at the meeting table because staffing is at a premium right now. This problem isn't unique to us. There's a nationwide shortage. As a matter of fact, the New York State Police is actively trying to take our employees, and they're not shy about saying it. At our last meeting, the sheriff had brought up a proposal that at some point we're all going to have to sit down. This is Zone 13 Police Academy, and we are going to have to come up with a new strategy. And instead of a part-time academy, or a pre-employment academy, which is what we have right now, we're going to have to look at making it a pre-employment academy, which means you'll have to be hired before you go, which places the burden and cost back on the municipality. And that's the way it was 30 years ago, when there was a lot of people that wanted this job. It turned into the pre-employment academy. Now we're looking at ways to figure out how to train people that actually want the job. And that's not a threat. It's we have to start thinking outside the box to figure out how we're going to train future personnel. The one part-timer I have right now has limited hours, but I'll take what I can get from him because he's a good employee. And what I was saying or trying to explain was, I see this as an opportune time because right now I have 5 officers with less than 2 years. That's 30% of our full-time staff. They contribute to their pension. They are at the start of the step schedule, which means they're the lowest level of pay. That 30%, and if we wait to do this down the road, they will age out, meaning their pay increases, the disparity between the part-time and their pay will increase, and then it doesn't become viable again until we see a lot of retirements all at once like we did this time. I don't see this as a staffing problem that's going to go away on us. So we're either going to have one of two things. We're either going to have an employee, or we're going to see rising overtime cost. And I will always try to manage overtime costs, but that's why I asked for that one more full-time officer. And I present this to you so you understand why and where we are in our staffing.
Where are you gonna get the other full-time officer? If that's the issue right now, is you can't find even a good part-time.
I've had one person approach me who's interested, and we did have one at the top of the list, our last interviews, that was good, that we passed on for Mr. Gardner.
The full-time, that's just the wages, that's not including the, that's not including the benefits.
Correct.
So it'd be significantly higher.
So that, Chief, what you're saying is the personnel budget as proposed was, included the 2 part-time people, correct? The budget that we're seeing in front of us includes the 2 part-time people, does not include a full-time people and no part-time people, correct? 'Cause, do you
I'm
wanna-
sorry, I did not understand your
Okay,
question.
so the budget that we're looking at, aside from this, includes the 2 part-time people, right?
Currently,
The
yes.
personnel line, okay, yeah, and it does, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it didn't include the full-time personnel,
And
right?
what I was,
Okay.
correct, because
Yeah.
what I was asking for was to take the part-timers' money, apply it towards
Okay.
the new full-time officer, and I understand it is higher.
Yeah,
And you would anticipate a decrease in overtime with adding this additional full-time officer?
I anticipate there'll still be overtime. I would hope for a decrease. But with our staffing considerations right now, I know there'll be overtime.
Okay.
yeah, because, I mean, even if, we did this, by the time whoever got hired, got through the academy and was actually able to work overtime, we're talking 6 months down the road anyway,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Same thing with the officer just hired,
Correct.
right? Okay.
And that's the,
The
when we
officer just
hired
hired us.
Dakota, excuse me?
Yeah, Dakota's done the academy in a week or two, isn't he?
Dakota is in training right now, correct? That's what
He's done them very
delayed
shortly.
this.
Yes.
Yes.
Not
So-
6 months down the road, John.
No, if we hired a new guy.
The new guy would be, but not the one that we just hired.
At what,
Lost my thought.
okay,
Sorry.
so
No,
at,
it's okay.
at what point out of the academy would you say the training would actually end for him? For any new hire, goes through academy and then he still needs,
Dakota starts with us April 22nd.
okay,
He will have then completed 4 weeks of training on the road pursuant to his accreditation. He's then gonna train 5 to 6 weeks with us on the road, and then he will be by himself, but always with somebody with him,
right,
if that makes sense.
yeah.
But he's an officer as of the 22nd.
Yeah.
so.
April 22nd, correct. And we did that so he could complete his academy without any problems or hiccups.
Just for clarification, if we go back to the old way of doing business, what would it cost the village to send somebody through the academy approximately?
I've never known it this way, but this is because this was before I wasn't paid to go to the academy either. But that's what would happen. We would hire somebody, and it's tough to hire somebody and try and get everything to sync up with the start of the academy in August, and then the next 6 months. But I can tell you, once you start employing them, let's say we lucked out and we hired somebody just before the academy started. We start paying them. They go from school from August to May, so approximately 6 months. So by the time you outfit them, pay them for 6 months, approximately $35,000.
And they're not on a force shift.
No, you're hoping, you hire and hope that they pass the academy and everything works out. That was one of the benefits of part-time, was you got to see people in this environment. But over the last 3 years, you've seen what's happened to our profession. There's a shortage now of staffing. I've never worked the other way. I've always seen part-time. My whole department has come through as part-time officers. So for the last 28 years, it's been that way. So that would be new for me too.
Okay.
But it's going back to the way things used to be done decades ago. Or considering it. I can also tell you this, I spoke with a chief from another department today, and he wanted to know what benefits we offer part-timers.
Oh, no.
I said, we offer a wage. Well, now you have departments trying to offer
Right.
paid days off,
Of
maybe some
course.
vacation time, because
Competitive.
it's so
Yeah.
competitive. Well, if you start offering all that stuff, you get to the point where we are, where
You might
the
as well
wage
hire
collapses to where it's close, and if we're paying benefits, it's
It should be a full-time then.
correct. And
Right.
it's just another way that things are coming full circle, and I can
Makes
tell you,
sense.
two of my officers downstairs have been asked if they wanted to work part-time on the boats this summer, and I advised them that
Oh, no.
we can't do that.
No.
You're our
Oh,
employee
no.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's that competitive.
Wow.
The staffing's that short.
And that would be the sheriff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to explain
Yeah.
why and where I was at.
Okay,
We'll consider it and
yeah.
Yeah,
just-
I would say
we'll
so.
think about it. I guess that's it for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
good.
Okay,
Well, I appreciate your
Thank you,
time.
Chief Price.
Thank you
for
very
that.
much.
thank you.
You know
I
revenue?
mean, he does. He sold some equipment.
Oh, that's
oh,
right,
sorry,
he
is
did
it-
sell equipment.
Well, that's,
Well, it goes
that's-
back into the
no,
general
that's-
fund,
yeah,
though,
that's not-
doesn't it?
Sorry, Scott, I tried.
Not very hard.
It's the epic account.
All right,
No.
Scott, we're gonna have to cut some meters and charge a little on the side or something here.
yeah. He doesn't have revenue. So. There's no revenue.
Yeah, we're at 3. Okay.
Where are we here?
Right now, what, 43,000 this year from last year on the personnel?
And we hired a couple of guys, too, so.
Correct.
Yep. No, I'm just looking at the increase in the budget for this year and last year. What was allotted last year and what we're asking for this year.
What I am asking for is a working supervisor. Foreman. We've always had 2 foremen.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
We haven't grilled you yet enough.
Okay.
We haven't told you what you can ask for yet, is what we're telling you.
Okay. I gotta figure out how to make this bigger. I can't see it. It's small.
Better get some glasses. Magnifying glass, something.
One, can I start?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Go right ahead.
Based on our conversation a couple days ago, and you were looking at altering the way that salting was done
Yeah, and plowing.
and plowing. So I guess assumed that the supplies under salt would be a little less than that, or is the cost of salt?
The cost of salt's going up because of transportation,
Right.
fuel. I was hoping to stay under that salt, within the salt budget this year, but this last couple of weeks really threw a wrench in there. That's why we kept it the same, you know. I think it's been pretty close to that amount for.
Well, I mean, as of, I don't know where you are now, but as of 3/15, you were 10,000 under. I don't know what the last couple weeks have been like, but I'm assuming it's gone up.
I think there's $2,000 left in that line right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, every time it looks like the roads are gonna be salt-free, we have to, I'm thinking maybe I can take my truck for a drive and then it's salting out again.
Yeah, yeah. And so the way it works right now is we have 2 salt trucks, and one of them has a computerized rate control in it. So when it goes out, it's picking up your road speed, and you're putting down whatever you put in the computer, 125 pounds per lane mile. The other truck, you just open up and turn it on, and it probably uses 1.5 to 2 tons more per round of salt when it goes around the village. So
What's a ton of salt cost?
about $90.
Is there any benefit to going to sand, like they do up in Canada?
The sand's just good for traction, and like it's tough in a village because
yeah.
we have like storm sewers, and it'll plug them up,
Yes,
you know.
okay.
So it's kind of counterproductive.
Okay.
I like the I don't even really like salt. Like Westfield, I talked to some guys up there, and they just salt the main drags and intersections, and then they just let hard pack go to the rest of the side streets. You know, they save a lot of money. But I guess that boils down to what do you want? What do your residents want? Do they want salt? Do they want bare roads, or do they want? And they do. I think
Yes,
I've
they
worked
do.
in this
Yes,
village
they
a long
do.
time, and I think they want bare
Yes,
roads.
they do.
Yeah.
That's right.
So the way we do it right now is we run 3 plow trucks, then 2 salt trucks go out and follow those. They split up the sections. And what I want to do is put salters in the trucks. Still run 1 salt truck because you got your parking lots and post office and tight spots around in here. But like on the outsides, I would call them your outside streets, Gardner, Ventura, up through there, Castile Heights. You know what I mean? I think you can plow and salt at the same time.
Didn't they used to do it that way? That's in,
We've never done it that way.
No, they've never done that.
Never, no.
town does it that way.
The town does it, the county does it, a lot of places do it. I think most places do it.
So that would cut down on one truck being out and,
A truck, a
Driver.
guy, you know what I mean, fuel,
yeah,
yeah.
everything. Yep.
And, well, that's part of the equation. Right now I got 15 guys. We're at a full staff. We've always had, 2 guys who put on 3 to 11 shift, 2 guys on midnights, the rest of the guys on days. I'm thinking about putting four guys on day, for the winter time. 4 guys on 3 to 11, 4 guys at nights, then the rest of the guys on days. So you can always have 2 trucks and 2 salters out, 24 hours a day. And no overtime on that either. I mean, you're gonna have overtime because when the parking ban goes into effect at 3 after all the cars get off the road, you have to come in and clean everything up, But I think it's gonna cut down on overtime, and I think you're gonna essentially have better roads,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to get guys in, especially when you work for 16, 18 hours, and then it snows at 7 o'clock after you've been up since 3 o'clock the night before, like,
Yeah, the budget looks good.
Yeah.
it's,
Do you think there'd be less pushback putting somebody at nights than there would be with the threat of, or the promise of overtime? 6 to 1, half dozen
yeah,
together?
exactly.
It's a wash.
Because
Yeah, I
they're
think
getting
so.
a shift differential, correct?
Yeah, you get the shift differential, and, I mean, a lot of my guys are new. They're green. They don't know how this works, and I think it works, and they wanna do what's best for the village, and I think if,
Is there
we've all had
any union problem rescheduling the guys that way?
No, they just gotta give them notice, 5 days notice.
Okay. All right.
Do we need more people during the day, Scott, though? Because that's when people are out more or less, driving around. I mean, that's when I received complaints, was during the daytime.
Well, it seems like I receive complaints around 5, 6 o'clock, which is when that 3 to 11 shift would cover better with 4 guys because everybody's trying to get home. So if you can get those 3 to 11 guys in right out the door,
Yeah.
clear everything up before everybody's trying to drive home and the streets are a little bit emptier.
Well, it's gonna be more coverage because you're gonna have more trucks salting and plowing at the same time. Well, same plow, more salting at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
When do you usually salt then? Is it when there's only a few inches of snow on the
It
road?
depends. Like yesterday, when
Like,
it
do
got,
you
or Sunday when it
prefer
got
to-
cold.
Right,
You know, I was looking at it and it wasn't quite sticking yet, so we didn't salt. But in the morning, Sunday morning, we had, you know, there was an inch of snow on the ground. We just burned it off. We just salted. So we just sent out 2 trucks to salt.
and that saves you from plowing, right?
Right.
Okay.
But if there's over 2 inches of snow, then you have to plow it, you know, then salt it. And a lot of the guys are gonna question, well, what if we have to just salt? What do we do? Well, you drop the main plow and you go salt. Like in an ice storm, you don't
Can you-
plow.
Oh,
You know.
are you talking about taking the plow off the truck?
Yeah.
And just salting it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering how much gas do you burn if you have both the salt truck and a plow, you know, one truck?
It's just,
Would cost more.
it's just harder to drive with the plow in the front if you're just out there to salt, you know.
Right.
If we just get some freezing
Right.
rain or something, you gotta go out. We still have the salt truck. They'll just take the plow off and
Okay.
go to work.
Right.
I see, thank you.
I like that theory,
I do too.
yeah.
And
that's-
once again, there's another increase in fuel costs because of, that's gonna hurt
Well,
all the way around for
it's gonna be
our
there.
budget. It's not gonna be
Yeah.
helped with fuel costs this year.
Well, that would actually, what he's saying, that would actually reduce fuel costs.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, but he has the increase in it, just, that's just there because of the
It's just-
cost, the
yeah,
cost of
yeah.
fuel itself
Yeah.
is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like he's gonna try to do his best to keep those fuel costs
Okay.
down.
Yeah.
I misunderstood what you're
And
saying, Joe. You're
and
right.
still get the job done. I guess we're just going to capital, I guess, from this point, I don't see anything else in there.
Yeah, there's
I
not.
mean, it's already,
Well, the only other thing was,
Good
like I
shape.
said, about a foreman, promoting a foreman. You know, I think the foreman that I have now, I think he's gonna retire probably pretty quick here. I've got a guy, an employee that he's been there for a long time. He's got experience. He knows everything we do. I'm sending him to school here next month to get his water license. You know, it'd be real nice to have another guy with a water license. I mean, every time you have a break, you're supposed to have a licensed water guy there.
Okay, so we will have one, you would like 2.
Yeah, I admit right now, yes, I'd like another guy, and then, you know, in the next year, I would like to see 3, 4 guys have it. You know, but there's some criteria that you must meet. I mean, they have to have. They change it all the time. It used to be 5 years experience underneath an operator to get your license. I think it's down to like 3 years now because it's just so hard to come by, like everything else, you know. But I think it's something we need to focus on, you know.
Do they make more money, a foreman? They
Yeah.
add to their
I
salary,
budgeted
right?
$4,000, but that's with overtime. I think the salary is about 32. Was it 32 or was it somewhere in there?
I forget what I took out.
And it's you know, it's a working foreman, and it's a guy that you need a man there that.
Somebody who knows where the shut-offs are and,
Well, yeah, I mean that
Yeah,
too, but
I mean-
I can't be everywhere. If I got a crew across,
Right.
3 crews working, you know what I mean?
someone that is in charge then when you leave. Yeah.
So for the personnel, that 213, 333, that included the addition of a foreman?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. With overtime too, didn't we?
With
budget
overtime.
It was like almost. So we went pretty high with that estimate. You know, I think it's like $1.70 more an hour.
Okay.
$1.80
they
maybe.
added 7,000 plus, but that's plus benefit. No,
No,
that's
he
a
already
no.
has benefits,
He
so
already
that
has
would just be
benefits.
straight cost.
It would just be the,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
added 7,000 onto that.
So, and then the mayor cut out 7.
Well, he cut out the 7, yeah.
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 So, if the person you think is gonna retire anyway, then he would just move into that? Or would you want another foreman also?
It's hard to say. I guess I would have to kind of see how it worked, you know?
Is the current foreman at a step rate that's much higher than the next guy would be?
I think he's like $2 above.
So if he were to retire, the next foreman's pay rate would be enough to absorb it anyways.
Yeah, it would be exactly the same, yeah. Yeah, but I don't know if he's gonna retire. I mean, he's talked about it, and I don't wanna,
No.
Well, is it a
Yeah.
problem to appoint a new foreman at his time of retirement?
I think it has to
he said
like
he'd
be
like to.
advertised and
We do
interviewed.
now.
I think it's supposed to be like that, not that it always is, but
Okay.
I think, yeah, we'd have to ask, that would be a union question.
Think about it.
Yeah. So you think that would add about $7,000 to the personnel line?
4.
4,000?
I think it was
Four?
figured at
Four.
7.
Okay.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah,
I thought
with the
mine-
numbers I got from Michelle.
Okay,
Oh.
so that 7245 that was cut, that was that foreman?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no. You know
No.
what? It wasn't. It was a combination of the foreman and the part-timers. But it's divided amongst general water and sewer because that's what their department
I was gonna
is.
say, yeah, it's
Oh.
not that much, cause I put in for some part-time seasonal help too, but
So what would that,
So it would be closer to 4,000?
Yeah,
the
it was
foreman?
closer to 4,000.
okay, so it'd be
Okay.
four, so it'd be
Sorry.
4,000
It's on me.
it's all right.
I'm good with that.
plus 4.
Do we wanna add that then?
To have another foreman?
Well, we could, we could, I don't know, we could see what it looks like to have it in there. I mean, we don't necessarily have to appoint it right away.
Correct.
We can keep it as for, if you wanna, I mean, it's gonna increases our budget. but
Budget,
that's- I
right.
mean,
But he's going to school, right?
Yeah, JCC,
Anyway.
going at the end of the month here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, next month.
And how long does it take to get that water license?
It's, I think it's 3 days in the classroom, and it's like 15 hours, 16 hours, and then after that, you have an interview with the county, and that usually takes a week, couple weeks to set up, and then they have to send all of your test score and all of everything back to Albany, and they have to approve it. It's probably like a
sometime next year, next year's budget sometime,
2-month process, probably, maybe,
or so, yeah.
a little more.
Okay.
What do you guys think? Just, you wanna put it in there for now?
I think we put it
Yeah.
in there for now.
Tentatively added?
Tentatively
Yeah.
add it in there for the 4,000.
That sounds good.
All right, but can we look at capital for his line now?
Yep.
You have an extra 60,000 above the CHIPS program for road maintenance. I know he, at least that's what the mayor has in there proposed. You had 105.
Your road, your street capital, your road maintenance.
You asked for
have 60.
105.
Yeah, that's for
They
oil
offered
and stoning,
60.
got 105. Can't use CHIPS money for oil and stoning.
Okay. Is 60 enough for oil and stone? Or do
It'll
you-
just cut down, I mean, for 105,000, I can do about 5 miles of road. So, cut it in half, you're gonna be, 2.5 miles. Anything's better than nothing, I mean, it's just gonna, the way oil and stone works, it's like sealing your driveway, I try to preserve what roads we have by oil and stoning them.
Okay.
How many miles do you think of oil and stone do we have? How many miles of oil and stone road do we have?
Every road's been oil and stoned.
Every road has been oil and
Yeah,
stone?
yeah, they're on a, I try to,
It's the worst stuff.
what's that?
I've just never been a fan of oil and stone. I think a village should have paved roads and it's, oil and stone was originally put out to be something for rural areas to reduce the
Yeah,
dust.
they use bigger stone, they use STs, we use, in the villages, a lot of villages and cities use it still, I mean, we use limestone, 1A limestone, we put it down and then we go and sweep it, it'll last, it makes the road last, a lot longer. If you didn't do that, you would have to mill and pave, and it's just not really realistic. cost, you know?
I'm with you, Jim. I like a nice smooth pave.
Yeah,
Hey, so do I.
like I said, it was originally designed for rural roads, and it was never meant for, cities and, villages, but,
Was that,
I know, I understand the costs involved, but I mean, I'd like to see a program eventually get back to actual paving streets.
Yeah, I'm
I
trying.
mean, for the,
That's what I'm trying to do with my chips.
that's what a lot of my residents that come to me, they complain about the streets of, it's like, many places that you go, they have paved streets, I know. And they're always paved, with regular paving. And that, somehow they get it done.
Where, up in this climate up north?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah. But, so, that's, I just wonder how we can't seem to do it. I know it's expensive, but maybe it's the rotation.
Salt.
Yeah, exactly. You're working against yourself. So that's why I asked, is it up north where you're talking? Yeah, I mean, every town,
Pennsylvania,
village, and
Ohio.
city only owns stones around here in this county. Probably the surrounding counties too. You know,
Yeah.
but I know there's some bad roads. I mean, there's Castile's terrible.
Go back to brick.
is that true?
There's no brick on that one.
No,
Go back
there's
to
no,
brick.
there's no,
Yeah.
go back to using brick, you mean?
I'm working,
Cobblestone,
yeah, right.
Really?
I'm working with a couple contractors right now to come up with an idea for Castile.
Is that, under the mayor's, proposed budget? He's got a $250,000 grant. Has that been applied for, do you know?
The
No,
CHIPS
no,
program
that's-
Yeah.
is something we automatically get
Oh, we
every year.
automatically-
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I used to do paving with.
So that's a yearly amount. then.
Did they give us any increase this year?
There was a little bit of an increase, a couple percent.
How far does that 250 get you?
You know, to be honest with you, I'm not sure. This is my first budget, first time really being on this end of it.
Do we pave ourselves, or do we have somebody come in and do it?
We have somebody come in and do it. We'll do the trucking, we'll do a lot of prep work, wherever we can save money to,
Okay.
to get more done. Usually we do the trucking.
Okay, but we don't have a paver.
We don't have a paver, the county has a paver. We could use them. Sometimes if they have a tight schedule, sometimes they don't. They don't pave in big cities a lot, We have a lot of metal in the road. But I've got some contractors looking at Central Avenue and Castile Heights right now.
Okay.
I don't think there'll be enough money in there to do both, but hopefully there'll be enough money to do one of those.
And you had indicated that a salt spreader with a computer in the long run actually saves money because we use less salt.
Right, exactly.
So it may be a $33,000 output within a period of time. You
Excuse me.
actually save that on salt.
Yeah, I think that's really an important.
Yep.
Okay.
So
And-
we have the salt spreader with a computer, and then we're also looking at a new freight lighter dump truck with salter. Would that salter and computer be on that new dump truck then, or?
Yeah, that would be on a new one. What do
Okay.
you have for a price on that truck? Just-
165?
Yeah, the new price is 221,000.
Oh.
That was when I quoted it 5 months ago. And then you know what I mean?
Keeps going up.
Yeah, and that,
Yeah.
you won't see that truck for a year.
Right.
I think I would,
Put off on it.
I would
for
hold
now.
off and gamble and maybe to see
Yeah.
if something comes down.
Seems like a recurring theme. You won't see that vehicle for a year, year and a half.
And we had,
That's what I was trying to say with the police car. We're not gonna see one for a year.
yeah.
And the
We've got
chipper-
3 running dump trucks, good trucks right now. I mean, they're older, but we're putting a lot of money into them. So I think we could get through with them.
The chipper, that's, again, payments wouldn't start till next year, but, I mean, that is,
They have a chipper. The top 3 things on, I got a chipper and the 2 Chevy trucks they have right now. The trucks are in Jamestown, and the chipper, they got one in Albany.
I think the mayor cut out
the
one
mayor
of those
cut one of
trucks,
those trucks. The other truck I'm wondering about is, the one for 30, he's got 33, 531 in there.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a 4-wheel drive.
It is. It's just a work truck, standard Standard cab, work truck, yeah.
No bells and whistles.
and,
no heated
yeah.
seats.
I know one of your trucks is not in good condition there.
Yeah, that was the half ton, that was gonna replace mine, but that's the one that got cut out, I guess, I did. It died the other day right in front of Mancuso's, it was a convenient
Oh,
place
no.
for it to die. The alternator quit.
It's like an
Short
elephant,
push.
it knew where to go.
Yeah, you know, and like I just, and trucks are coming up for inspection right now, and I got one I just brought in, and I think the estimate was $1,800 to get it to pass, pickup truck.
33,531 seems low actually for a,
Oh, I called a lot of places, and the place I got this price from was in Jamestown, and they come to the highway meetings, and
just sounds like it sounds like a deal. I mean,
it's a great deal.
Yeah.
Both of them are, and he still got them both there, so.
Yeah.
Get rid of two and upgrade the trucks, I mean.
So we'll,
Plus the half ton it's a 6-cylinder too, so it's a lot more economical than.
so we'll have a little bit of trade money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or get that fixed and have just a beater.
We got a few beaters.
Yeah.
You don't need more beaters.
Yeah, we can probably offer
Will
a beater
will
or
the engine
two.
fit?
I was kind of hoping,
trolley?
I was kind of hoping not to have to even buy that one, but that one's, the worst one is pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's one, I don't think they're gonna pass inspection.
Okay.
I mean, unless they don't catch something, you know what I mean, like rotted frames and just,
Yeah,
when you get to that point, they nickel and dime you too, and
right.
I thought those prices were, you'll never see those prices again. That's
No.
another thing.
What year are the trucks?
They're brand new.
Brand new.
Yeah.
Are those recent prices?
I talked to him a month ago, he said he still had them, not even a month ago, it was probably 3 weeks.
Okay.
So, I mean, he said he had other municipalities looking at them, you know, 'cause that's,
Yeah,
I was surprised
bless
too.
you. That's a really good price for a truck. Not saying we should buy two, but we should
Just
definitely.
get one at least.
Yeah, one
I
truck and
would've-
then the salt spreader.
Yeah.
I really would have rather had you buy put that money towards the truck instead of the side-by-side, but that, you know.
That's side by side, see, that thing, it's very economical, if you know, in time right now, fuel's so high.
But
Park
Yeah.
a truck and use that, that's what my parks guys will, I think, use, you know, down here this year.
That's true too. That'll cut out some fuel costs.
I think you're gonna be happy with that Kubota.
The Kubota? It's electric, you said?
No, it's not electric, it's
Oh, I thought it
diesel.
was electric. Oh,
No.
diesel.
Will they take a backhoe and 2 trades on pickups?
so anything you guys want to do with this, or
I think everything there is,
what's left is, what's there is
yeah,
Yeah.
there.
yep.
Okay.
Do you wanna leave in the bond, the 2 bonded things, the chipper and the dump truck with the plow?
The dump truck with the plow, considering it's now 221,000, I'd say no.
Yeah.
That's what,
That-
that was with a new main plow too, I could probably drop that down to 207,000. Not that
Still.
it's still a lot of money, like everything's,
Oh, gee.
you know,
Can we get four of these pickup trucks with plows on the front of them instead?
Right?
Yeah, no, I think we'll just drop that for now.
Yeah, yeah.
Really.
Unfortunately.
Leave the chipper in.
What about the chipper now? Do we, I know ours is
we
dead.
don't have a chip, we haven't had one for about a year.
We've
What are we
been,
currently using
We
for a
borrow the
chipper?
Can we
towns.
borrow one?
Yeah, we're borrowing the
Ben.
towns.
We've been.
Yeah.
I don't know how long they're gonna,
Yeah,
is
how
that
long is
something?
that gonna last? And then they say, now they're gonna charge us.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna charge. I mean, we help each other out. I mean, they you know they use stuff from us. But I mean, I just think it's a common decency thing that we don't want to.
Right.
It's not ours. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we don't want to get going on 2-3 years of borrowing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually demoed this machine. It's a nice machine. It's kind of set up for a municipality.
And we can get that one in a reasonable amount of time?
Yeah, I just talked to him a couple weeks ago.
And
They
that,
have it there. It's in Albany.
the payment on that, Alyssa, would that start this year or the next year?
If they get it this year, it would start this year.
Usually 30 days after we
Yeah,
get in possession.
so that would increase our cost
Right.
in the budget.
We still have a little money left over from the sale of the other equipment that we didn't put towards the Kubota.
No, that all got
They
rolled,
got put in the general fund.
Yeah,
that
that's
goes back into the general fund.
Right, but it's extra
No.
in general fund from the year before,
Well,
right?
No.
that's what we're balancing the budget with.
Your budget's significantly over our revenues. Yeah,
It's not earmarked just for the street department. It's-
We got a 3.4%
The payment would be about $8,800 a year.
8,800 a year.
If you do it the 10 years, if we went 5 years, it would be different.
Would you say 800 a year?
8,800.
8,800. I thought 800, that's a good deal.
wow.
Let's get a couple.
No, not that.
It's only one number.
And then, you gotta remember that, if they're using, what the mayor included in our budget was that, ARP funds, and, that won't be available next year to us, because the next year.
That's got, yeah.
Because that's all, so, I
Yeah,
mean,
so
so you gotta remember, what we need to cut is enough to, so, yeah, make it so we can get through this year, but we have to consider the next year after that, where it's gonna leave us.
Right.
If we're including costs that are gonna be carried over to that next year. I mean,
Yeah.
employee costs or payments like this. Payments, these are gonna be more than 1 year. So these are the thoughts you have to keep in mind. So what can we cut?
Scott, have you looked at one of those barrel grinders? I think St. George has one.
Tub grinder, yeah,
What do those run?
$500,000.
No, they're that crazy?
Yeah. I don't think we need one.
No, we don't need one. I didn't think they were that much money, though.
I mean, you could probably get a used one, but new, yeah. And that's not even for a real big one, you know? That's for a small one. We got a lot of room up at our, we got a dump up on Webster Road, or, yeah, Webster. We got a lot of room up there.
Any thoughts of moving anything else? We got the,
I think we need to maybe talk more about the chipper a little bit, but
other than that, you guys okay with where the other items then? The 60,000 and the
Yeah.
33 for the truck and
yeah.
33 for
the 33 for the salt spreader computer? Or not?
The salt spreader with the
And
computer.
computer.
Well,
That's the salt spreader unit with a computerized rate control.
Oh, I see.
In there.
and
Yeah.
how long will that last us?
I mean, I would hope it would last 10, 15
years?
years. I would hope, you know.
So over the course of 10 years, it's gonna save us that amount of money or more.
Yeah, oh, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
He's looking at
The time.
No, that'll save us the money. Because in 5 years, we're probably gonna have to buy a new salt spreader anyways for one of them, because they're gonna be rotted out.
Yeah, we're using,
Salt.
this one's stainless. Stainless is
Yeah.
actually the same price right now as regular is steel because.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if with a salt spreader, those things, longevity of them isn't, we're gonna have to
The
replace one of them at
current
some
spreader
point in
you
the next
have is
5 years.
stainless, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's 4 years old,
Right.
3 or 4 years old. We've got 2 of them.
And they're both stainless.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So this would be a third spreader.
This one would actually go in to a dump truck, the last new plow truck we got. It would go into that. I would send the truck out to the company and they would install it out. And this way, when we get, for winter next year, we would have 2 complete plows and salters. Because I'm gonna take one out of the other truck that we already have and put it in a different truck, one of the other dump trucks. Follow me? I know it's kind of
I do,
confusing.
no, I get it, I
You got it?
follow
Okay.
you.
So this gives you the ability to have 2 guys plowing and salting at the same time
Right.
and controlling the rate of the salt, which makes sense.
And the salt truck is getting pretty bad. This morning, we had to
Mix
take it to
around.
Valley because a rim broke on it. Which the rim then broke another, it was kind of screwed a hub up and $1,800 later.
10 years. Oh, 33,000. It's,
Did you want to take a look at the, on his proposed budget, he had the Chestnut Street water main at 900,
Wow.
Gardner's to Ben Pulaski at 890, and 12-inch loop water to Woodcrest at 500, that are listed under 20-year bonds on the budget, under water fund. towards the bottom, but was part of the DPW's budget. See where I mean? Yeah.
What did you have for Gardner, Stube, and Pulaski water main?
Gardner Street was 900.
No, it's just.
No, that's
Chestnut.
Chestnut.
Oh, Chestnut. I'm
Gardner
sorry,
was
Gardner Street, then Pulaski was
890.
890.
Yeah, okay. I thought you said 500. I said,
No.
no, it's more than that.
No.
Yeah, okay.
No, water to Woodcrest is 500.
And these are just things that I want off of, they're not hard prices. They're jobs that have been done in the area with that size main and what it was
I mean,
done per
those-
foot. And I just kind of rough
I mean,
estimated.
you don't have to approve those through there. Those are there as expenses if, I mean, if we get grants to help do it, you know, that would be reduced. I don't know how it's gonna necessarily affect our budget, because
So-
this year anyhow, though.
In your estimation, are those
Not this year.
Right.
are those the priority mains to look at? Those three.
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at it, is those
Yeah.
seem to be his priority thoughts.
Yeah.
And if we do approve it through the year for them to do that, whether we get a grant or not, I mean, it would be there, that's what it would cost. But it wouldn't affect our budget this year anyhow, so, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna have to do those. Just because it's there, doesn't mean you have to
Right.
do those.
Yeah, probably explore grant options first.
Those,
and then-
those would be essentially our consideration for the grants or for, to look into doing if we feel we can make that happen this year.
Yeah.
And then the cost would begin next year,
Right.
so, because it was be bonded.
What about the hydrants? Did he take that out? Is that in there?
Where is-
Because
Nope, those are still in, 24,000.
They're still in?
Those are there.
Okay. I know some of them have been covered up for a number of years now, and I can think of, is that what you're gonna replace?
Yeah, well, the one, you're probably
Yeah,
thinking
down
of on
here,
your example,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
We've replaced a couple. I used some recycled ones that we took out from when we did the
Okay.
other project, but we just don't have any new fire hydrants, and it's always a good idea to replace a few a year, you know?
Get some new ones.
And we don't have any.
So, for 6 of them is 24,000, that's the total?
Yeah, that's with the valve too, the guard valve. that goes
And the
upstairs.
valve, okay.
And that price is probably old, probably a couple months old, so it
Probably more.
could be 8 to 10% higher, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty important to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get us to stay.
And you know, I might have some money at the end of the year here left in the water budget line, which I don't think I will this year, but, you know, I'll definitely just get as many hydrants as I could.
Okay.
Melissa's not looking positive. She shook that magic eight ball over there.
You get a couple big,
She's
I
like,
like your optimism.
she's like, outcome, not
Try
likely.
again
Try again later, yeah.
Try again later.
So any thoughts right now besides this, or are we done with him for now?
I'm good with what he's told us, so.
New Christmas
Okay.
decorations.
that was, I threw that in there because I think we need them.
Wow.
But-
Yeah, those
I think it's
snowflakes are
something we should write a
horrible.
letter to the Beaver Club for. They donate a lot of money. I think that would be a good,
If who would
like
donate
the
money?
Beaver Club, like
I
they
know,
always.
I know in Dunkirk,
Oh, yeah.
I know in Dunkirk, when they bought them, they asked each of the businesses to provide one or buy one.
Oh, really?
Sponsor one.
Yeah.
When they bought the ones down Main Street in
Okay.
Dunkirk. So that's something we could look
Yeah.
into as well.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty important thing. I saw a lot of
They
comments, I've
need
heard a
to
lot
be
of comments
updated.
about them. Yeah, I think it means something to have some good decorations.
Right.
They're expensive. I actually brought some information on. You guys can check out if you want.
Okay. Yeah,
You know, a
that
Santa,
sounds
do you want a Santa? Do you want a wreath?
Ooh, we have options.
Can we get the leg, can we get the leg lamp? Santa?
Oh.
You know, I didn't see the leg lamp on there, but I'm sure we can get something. We can figure
Thank
something.
you, sir.
Male and female version. I mean, you know, we can get a leg version and a non-leg version.
Oh, really? No, thank you. How kind of you to be inclusive, but, oh, no, thank you.
All right. I guess we're,
I guess that's it, huh?
There was a couple drainage and sewer, did you guys get that?
Oh, sanitary sewer.
oh, yeah.
Pump
Yeah,
stations
you're
are
right,
old.
sorry.
They're
Yeah.
rotten. I don't know if he kept those in there or not. but Pump station upgrades?
Yes, those are in there.
Okay, good.
And the manhole covers.
Yeah.
Manhole covers, yeah, that's a good idea.
And manhole covers, then again too, just like hydrants, if there's any money left in this year's budget, buy some new covers.
Can you make them so they're even with the road to
Yeah.
the manhole, so you don't dip down
Yeah.
into it? Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Mhm.
Yeah, that's the
That'd
plan,
be nice.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is this, Gardner at Sunset drainage?
That was just a little project I was throwing in there. It's a big ditch down there, and we're always up there ditching it and unplugging it.
So you wanna put in a,
I wanted to put some big pipe in. It's quite expensive. Normally the homeowners would pay for it. They're not gonna pay for it. But it's just, I think in the long run, it would save me money if it was put in there, just so we didn't have to go there all the time. I mean,
right, okay.
it's not a huge priority, but it's something that needs to be done.
Okay.
Is it we don't have anything on here about the Risley Street drainage issue either.
The Risley Bridge, what do you
The
mean?
Risley Street drainage issue,
University.
or University, I'm sorry.
University.
Oh, I mean, that's a sanitary sewer issue. It's really on the homeowners that. I mean, that's where their lateral comes in. We don't do anything with a sewer lateral. To revamp that sewer down there, I mean, you're talking millions of dollars. I mean, to put a bigger trunk lining going all the way to the wastewater plant.
What about putting a pump in?
That wouldn't make any difference.
Wouldn't make any difference.
No.
So you think that's not groundwater backing and anything?
Yeah, I've already talked with a couple of residents down there, and I think they're gonna have a new sewer put in, in the spring. I mean, the gentleman was in here when we were talking, that one night, and he said that in the town he lived in, if somebody put a check valve in because the sewer backed up, the town paid for half. I mean, maybe that's an option if somebody wanted to put a check valve in. And some of these places that are flooding down there, they don't even have sump pumps.
Yeah.
It's like,
You need a sump pump.
yeah, I mean, that'd be my first thing. If I had water in my basement, I would be putting a sump pump in.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's really not, I mean, I hate to say it, it's not really our,
It's not groundwater, it's not anything as far as that goes, basically. Okay.
I mean, it could be groundwater coming up from the water table. But the problem they're having is that sewer line gets I mean, it gets flowing down there, and their lateral's low on the main, and it's backing up into their house.
Yep.
Okay. So are we good then with keeping that
Yep.
drainage, pump station and manhole covers?
Pump stations are the priority. Anything else there, I can probably.
Do we have any extra manhole covers, any?
So,
I think I got one or two.
so the pump station's priority, but the others, you said you can probably take out?
Well, I mean, I don't know about take out. You think about them, maybe, trim them a little.
Well, I'd like the trim, we need to trim stuff. We haven't, we're not trimming enough here. We need to trim more.
Yeah, you can trim a couple of those manholes out of there. You might have some money to buy a couple here at the end of the year.
You wanna take out manhole covers and that Gardner Street drainage,
Yeah.
Leave the pump station
like the
upgrades.
pump station?
Yeah, those are
Take out-
important.
Okay, so, okay, there we go.
Yep.
So take out the manhole covers.
Okay.
Good?
I'm good.
Okay,
You good?
yep, thank you. We're
All
good.
right.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
all right, thank you, yeah.
Thank
You
you.
have a good night.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, this is past your bedtime, so.
Well, I put my daughter to bed 2 hours ago. So.
This is your adult time.
Yeah.
So much fun.
What a fun adult time this is, let me tell
You got a bottle of wine in a sippy cup behind it we don't know about?
Just water.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, where are we here?
That's a good question.
Water department, where are we? There we go. Water.
Is that yours or mine?
That one's mine. You have one. You have it. You can take it out here. Where are we here? Water fund. Okay.
Lead the way. You want to?
So our revenues in our water fund,
Oh, it's wonderful.
our biggest challenge is actually in our water rents from the town districts. We lost, as Alyssa will confirm, we've had a significant reduction in revenues. I don't know, we're gonna have to look at addressing that. I have some thoughts on it this year, but that's gonna have to come into play at some point this year, I think. But that's not gonna affect this budget as we're working through it until that gets changed. Yeah. I know that the mayor did not propose any increases in water rates. So what we have is what we have it for revenues.
Right.
So, I said it's gonna be very hurtful to have that much loss in revenue because of the contracts that were set. And that contract affects the water and the sewer, actually.
Right.
So, I do have a proposal that I'll be presenting to you guys soon, but that's gonna be, you guys gonna take some thoughts about how to make some changes and see if we can make that work. And our Alyssa put together a chart for me. But like I said, we'll have to see where that goes. So we, right now, we're probably pretty much otherwise on schedule, right, as far as the revenues go, based on what we have actually for this year.
Yes.
Well, then, let's go to the appropriations. Who wants to start? Any idea?
Well, I guess, the first thing that caught my eye was the, under supplies.
Yeah, it was the first one that
Yes.
mine, I looked at that too.
That's a lot higher. Our chlorine prices have almost quadrupled in price over the last year.
And still rising.
And still rising, yes. Last year, the budget time, when Chris was doing this, they were about $83 for a 2-day supply. It's now $298.
Wow.
So chlorine for the year alone is $65,000. And there's really no other option. We need it. There's no cheaper alternative. So it is what it is. I can't.
Yeah.
We need to use a specific brand with the chlorine feeder we have.
That's
It's
the
very
tablet
hard to
now,
get.
right?
Yeah, yep, the tablets. So we have to use those tablets, and they have to be certified for drinking water, which makes it even more expensive. So
You said we had to use that for the feeder that we have?
yeah, we have a tablet feeding system.
Okay.
So it's like a big hopper we put the tablets in, and hot water sprays over them. It's much safer than the gas was. So, but gas is just as expensive now, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
The other chemicals, I mean, polymer and pack are both 20,000 each for the year, so we have to use them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way, there's no alternatives that are cheaper, it is what it is there.
Are any of the improvements to anything that we're looking to make hopefully gonna reduce some of those numbers a little bit?
Chemical use? No.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
That's,
Can we reduce
we
your,
gotta use what we gotta use, huh?
can we reduce your administration supply line at all?
What's-
It's at 5,000,
I didn't.
it,
Are you looking at sewer?
no.
Water
Under
Water
water.
administration? I don't.
Water supplies.
Well, it says
Only
water
community
supplies,
service.
it's only 5,000, but you've only used 2,000 this, so 2,500 this year.
Oh, the admin. Okay, that's not her.
Oh.
That's why. I was like,
Sorry, I'm in the wrong spot there, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, okay, it's in the wrong section. I need my glasses adjusted. Sorry.
What's the jump in overtime?
Well, we lost 2 licensed operators with me moving up and Mark retiring, and we don't have 2 to replace them. We have trainees, but, so the trainees can't operate themselves till they're licensed.
And that's when they pass the test.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
What are we looking at for them to be done with those tests?
The one, he's got any day now, whenever the county wants to schedule his test. We're kind of just
Okay.
waiting on them. I guess they have a big backlog with COVID. And the other one we just hired, she still has about a year. You have to work for a year before you can even
Okay.
apply to take the test, and then it's about a 3 to 6 month wait to take the test with the county.
So with any luck, he passes his test, and then he can, then cut down the overtime.
Yes.
A little bit.
All right.
And this also includes that period of time where you didn't have auto.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, we lost auto for about 2.5 months, which was poor timing for everything. I mean, I'm doing my best to cut overtime, but it kind of has to happen. I have to
yeah.
work 80 hours a week, which, well, more than that. That's 80 hours just covering trainees plus my 40 hours a week, which would stretch me thin.
Can we cut anything out of that at all,
I don't know what we can do with it.
the overtime?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
The
If we weren't so behind in hiring people, it wouldn't be so bad, but
the equipment maintenance, back up there a little bit, is that, it's a little higher than previous years.
just everything's getting more expensive to fix and get people out, just rising cost of,
But it went from, we had budgeted previously 40,000, and currently spent 29, and it's going to 45. I was wondering if we could take out 5 out of that, just go back to 40. If we've only used 29 this year so
Yeah.
far. Does that sound reasonable?
yeah.
We're gonna take 5 out of the maintenance equipment.
Do we say we could do anything with contractual?
No.
Can't do anything.
5,000, that is.
5,000.
Yes, not $5.
$5, that's a deal.
I mean, I was looking at fees too. I don't really understand how Chris formally did this, but he did a lot of the supplies out of fee. Like, I don't know, there was some weird things he did in past years, so I don't think it needs to be that much.
Oh,
The fees?
good.
Yeah,
So we
So we
could
can-
make this like 10.
maybe even like 8.
oh,
8,000.
Beautiful.
really?
You don't know how to do this negotiating. do you?
Well, I'm trying to get you stuff I need. I'll cut stuff I don't need and keep stuff I do. So.
So we can, so we,
point.
Cut here,
so
cut
we
here,
could,
cut
you
here.
wanna take 8,000 out of there?
8,000.
Yeah,
Nice.
because I mean, these are for like our Speedy's permit and membership fees to certain organizations for trainings and whatnot. So
So
yeah,
those
Okay.
costs are basically, they're just what they are and you spend what you're gonna spend for the year?
yeah, I think so.
Okay,
That's 7,000,
thank you.
right?
Pretty close.
yeah, see, the budget last year was 25,000, you spent 7,700,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
All right.
Is distribution contractual? It was at 15, we use 14.3 now.
Let's Scott.
Yeah,
Oh, that's Scott. I guess I didn't talk about that with him.
I'm pretty sure I'm just purification, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you are just, yeah. I was looking underwater, so I was just looking, oh, yeah, there you go. There's something. I didn't talk about that with Scott then. Okay, once we're done with you, we can talk about that again.
We didn't talk about distribution personnel either.
Yeah, we may have to go over that still.
Yeah, we might have to ask him to come
I
back
guess so
on
then we're gonna go
Wednesday.
to, huh?
So we may have to ask him to come back on Wednesday.
Scott, she
Scott,
said, ask
yeah.
him to come back on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Might have to.
Yeah.
Might have to, yeah,
To go over the distribution.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Right.
think so.
'Cause there's some pretty big differences there.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to ask him to come back.
Mhm.
I don't know, okay, briefly for that. So we have to talk about all of that. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so you're just purification, and we're gonna look at your capital lines, I guess.
So you are plant equipment improvements, sludge well clean out, backwash pump, and the clear well rehab.
Mm-hmm. And then, building and grounds too.
Okay.
Right.
Mine, underwater.
And then so the dam spillway work, that will wait for
Yeah, I mean,
anticipating grants.
Right,
Yeah.
The water meter replacement, that's under Scott.
right. The sludge clear well clean out.
that's pretty necessary. We have to do that about every 3 years. So it's time.
Okay.
There's really no alternative to that.
Okay. Backwash pump rebuild,
That's also really necessary. We have 2 and we're down to 1, and we've been using 1 for the last 6 months. So,
Wait, that didn't get rebuilt as part of this project?
no, that's a completely different thing.
So that would take us back to 2 then again?
Yeah, yep, which we used to alternate to, so every other bed wash, they'd alternate pumps.
Okay.
If we lose the one we have, we're in big trouble. We have about 80 hours
Mm-hmm.
to figure something out in an emergency, so that's a
And,
definite.
okay.
And the rehab on the clear well.
That's been an issue for a couple of years. If you go
24-inch
up there,
line.
you can see that the 24-inch main line that feeds Village is just exposed. And we have a lot of trees in that valley, and one actually this last fall came very, very close to knocking
Oh,
it
that's
out.
the one that's the exposed line is what
Yeah,
you're talking
yeah.
about, that.
Okay.
Yeah, and we actually had kind of a small tornado go through that valley, and the tree was probably about 3 feet away from hitting that main line. So, I know in the past, I talked to Chris about it. He said him and Tony were working on something to just dump, fill over it, but I don't, obviously they're both gone, so I don't really know much about that other than that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
2 new garage doors, new door.
Yeah,
Yeah, those garage doors are in pretty sorry shape.
They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
and the new, main entrance door,
There's about an inch gap
That's
between the
another one.
doors.
Yeah.
they
Because
can't,
they're supposed to be closed, and they're kind of like this, and
Are they rusted out?
they're just bent
Yeah.
and rusted, and it gets pretty cold in the winter, draft, and they actually freeze. The ice builds up, so you can't even close the door.
Nice.
All All right, so what you're saying is we gotta buy everybody jackets and mittens.
I've already bought space heaters, and a couple of them use their clothing allowance for heated socks and jackets. So
Oh, my God.
You can't work like that.
Pretty
No.
sad.
No.
That's,
it's cold enough in there in the winter anyway. I mean, it's
Yeah, I'm
surrounded
not
by
seeing
30-degree
anything there that we
water,
can-
but
You don't wanna-
Yeah.
just for
Not,
the
not
price-
anything that we can really play with.
yeah.
For the price of a couple
No.
doors.
No, it becomes a security issue too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. They're not very secure currently.
What about the, I know we had the roof repair work that had been done there. Was that being done this year?
Yes. Yep. That's
Yes.
currently
We got that,
going
we
to
got that
be
going.
a resolution soon.
Okay, so you got enough
You got
quotes now?
pricing?
I got someone under the 5,000
Oh,
to
good.
do, so
Wow.
Beautiful.
Nice.
So that'll be done, so that'll be on this year's budget.
yeah.
Yes, she does. Yeah. Not a whole lot we can do with you.
Tried to keep it easy.
And you said the garage doors are bad, but that's $17,000. Is there any way that we get guys to repair them for the year?
We can do it with one at least. We do need one. The garage door that's on the ground, there's animals getting in.
Oh.
And
Not good.
So can we get one this year, one next year?
What's the issue with the other, I mean, why do you want both of them? Why'd you ask for both of them?
well, the one doesn't work very well. I don't know if that's a mechanical issue. It's also old and wooden and starting to rot, but it's not as bad as the one that's in the actual garage next to our building. The other one's kind of up higher on our loading dock, so it's kind of protected. It is starting to rot, but the other one is much more rotted out
I
and
just wonder if we
has.
could get somebody,
big holes
they
in
have
it.
garage door maintenance people, that if they could just, come and make sure it functions, and then get one replaced this year.
Yeah, the one in the garage doesn't function. The
It
track
pops
is
off.
broken. You have to kind of slam it first, then lift it at the same time to open it, and it's dangerous too. It falls on you.
If we could just get one, can we get one done?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
At least.
So,
take a look at them.
I mean, I definitely say we gotta do one, and I think the
Yeah.
other one really needs to be looked at. I know what you're thinking, Jim, but I think we gotta kinda look at the second one too.
Well, and again, there's only so much money to go around. So we have to do it this year, do it that next year, and see, I know, I'd like to do everything, but, that's, if we could cut that cost in half, for this year,
3,500.
I mean,
Let's
we
raise
found,
the water rates.
some five, yeah.
Was that did you get a quote for those doors?
No,
She's got
that went off
17,000
of the
in there.
doors that Sean
Yeah,
had,
for both,
or Alyssa
right.
kind of helped me out on the price
yeah,
of that.
Sean just had his replaced at, it was 7,200, so we went a little bit higher than that. So,
So maybe if we budget like 10, that'd be enough to get one new, maybe fix, temporarily bandage the other.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah, something like that.
That makes me
Okay.
happier. So we're gonna take
I'm
out
shaking your head, that could be a possibility though.
Yeah, as long as we keep critters out of the garage, that
Yeah,
would be
that would be
Okay, so we're
nice.
gonna take,
beneficial.
we'll take out 7.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, I don't think we can do a whole lot with you anymore after that. She doesn't have a lot of line items.
No, she doesn't.
No?
Okay. I know a lot has been done up there. The next big thing to do, you have to have those, you got some pricey items in here, but these things have to get done.
Yeah, they all need to have.
Those,
So the brickwork on the building is something that definitely needs to be
Another
done.
one.
Even the roofer, when he was looking at the roof, he noticed since the water's not draining in the gutters right, it's rushing down the building and it's, washing away all the mortar between the
Mortar.
bricks, which is now leaking in the building that way.
Wow,
So,
that's not good.
so,
So is that a gutter problem then, or?
it is a gutter problem that will be fixed with the roof.
Right.
okay.
but then we still
Yeah.
need
But
to
it
fix the
still
damage.
Still need to
exists.
fix
Right.
the
The
point.
damage is
Yeah.
still there. Yeah.
Yeah, And there's cracks, and I mean, we just put all this money to the inside of
Yeah.
the building.
Yeah,
I hate to
you gotta take care of
haul it around.
It needs to get done.
it. We gotta do it.
So it's gonna have to keep it on your list, because it has to be addressed. You know, of course, we gotta make sure that the physical plant is working properly. Yeah,
Yeah, so that was something that Doug didn't include. Did you wanna add it?
What's that?
the brick stuff, you mean? No,
Not this
not
year.
this year.
I was just making sure.
No, it's out, keep that on the list
Yeah.
for next year. So, I mean, we're gonna get the roof done this year, and we have to work towards getting that, the dam and, spillway taken care
The
of. So,
spillway, that's a
So,
big one. Yeah,
But,
we won't get insured if we
well, we will.
aren't. Oh, you don't think that's a problem?
They're gonna insure us, but we're moving forward with it, so they
They'll
know
insure
they-
us, it just depends on what they charge us for that insurance.
75,000,
It's gonna go up whatever it is if they don't fix it.
So,
yeah.
but it's gonna be fixed, so.
Pay me now or pay me later. kind of
All right,
thing.
I guess we're good.
I'm good.
Yep.
We're
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Al.
I
Al.
really appreciate it.
So does that wrap us up for this evening?
Is there anything you guys wanna talk about before?
Do you want to talk
To,
about
so,
it?
or, cause Alyssa would make the adjustments so that we
Or
could,
Melissa could help us with that?
as we're moving forward. So any more adjustments we wanna think about before we leave tonight?
We just have to call Scott back on those two
Right.
line
Yeah.
items.
Yeah, Alyssa, if you could email him tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Just put him on the very first of the agenda, just so, because it's two quick things, we'll get them out.
Right,
And he's got actually sanitary sewer and distribution, so.
so
Oh,
it'll be
that's right.
included in,
Right.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Since he was here already, we should get him in and out real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's,
those aren't too bad.
no, those,
That's not too
yeah,
bad,
they're-
yeah.
Questions on those?
Did we miss anything else that you saw, Alyssa, as far as not going over with somebody?
Nope, just those two. Dog contractual, I know there's not someone overseeing that, but do we have any idea what we're doing?
We're gonna talk about that at the next meeting, yeah.
The dog, Petra? I thought we had the,
Yeah, so did I.
We thought we did.
okay.
I mean, we. I don't
Nope,
know if you-
everybody else is coming on Wednesday, so that'll cover the rest
Wednesday,
of
we're
them.
meeting at 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
So we're gonna do everybody, we're gonna do all the,
the remainder of the
Remainder.
people.
Yeah, we got, Chip's gonna come in. You'll be there?
I'm always here.
Chip will be
the
here.
rest of the.
Don't do next Wednesday, that's all I have.
We'll see you, Chip.
I mean, really,
Well,
We gotta close the meeting now, so can you,
well, we were just looking to see if we wanted to talk about.
so we had a small increase in revenues and a little bit, we got a little bit out of the capital improvements and a little bit very little out of
I'll get you guys new totals
the, okay,
tomorrow.
okay.
Great.
Was there a revenue portion you wanted to discuss, or is that for a different meeting?
For the water.
That's gonna have to be for a different meeting.
Okay.
I'm gonna, actually, Alyssa, if you don't mind, I tried to print out that chart that you sent me, and it breaks it up on a whole bunch of little pieces.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't print it out as one. Would you
I'll
be
get
able to
that.
print them all out and put it in their mailboxes for tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We'll review that.
yeah, for you guys to review and then,
you thinking of discussing it on Wednesday? Or is that another time?
Adam,
I think I might have to just, and it's gonna be, I might have to send you an email first on it, because trying to understand.
explain it. Yeah.
I don't want the public to have this misunderstanding, because it's kind of hard to understand and view where where it comes from. I know Alyssa understands it quite well.
Can we do it in an executive session on Monday?
It can't be done in executive
not
session. It's not executive session material.
Would it,
It's just a way to.
Is
So
it gonna,
it-
it's gonna impact the budget though, is what you're saying, so it has to be done
Well,
before Monday for presenting it for public?
no, I don't think, it would impact the budget,
Positively, so we wouldn't have to
right.
account for it. I mean, it would be nice to be able to account for it, but it doesn't have to be because it's revenue and not
Well,
expense.
we also talked about the last
Right.
meeting, charging for overnight parking to let the college kids up, the other stuff, so there's some other
Well,
budget things
that's-
that would impact us as far as.
That could be done through any time during
Yeah,
the
but
year.
that's-
Yeah, but that's a positive,
Right.
that could be a
Right, once again, that.
good sum of
right.
money.
If that's, okay, so I'm just looking forward to reduce, right, I mean, during this process, I'm more concerned with reducing expenses.
let's see what the numbers are after Alyssa has a chance to incorporate the changes that we made
That we
I
made.
mean,
and that we may
we
make
could,
Wednesday
we
and
could
see
get-
where we are.
I mean, we could get, if we eliminate, we're not even close to 105,000.
What's the verdict on the additional police officer?
I don't know.
I mean, it's gonna be more than 55. And I understand his explanation, it's a good one, but,
I mean, by the time you talk about benefits, you're potentially looking at,
about 85,000.
Well, the newest one was about budgeted for about 98.
Oh, that's even more than I thought.
What's our population?
And I'm also,
Just
I
over
have to say,
10,000.
I know that they had, for the police, or fire department, I know they had a good explanation, but where we're at now, I tell you what, those two extra are really gonna cost us an awful lot of money. That could put us, just those two additional, for the fire department would put us, eliminating
But don't you
those.
think the
we're spending
ambulance
that,
service,
we're
though,
spending that
will
anyway,
be- Yeah, right, we're spending it on overtime.
yeah.
Plus
And
the
Well,
if
so
additional.
you
they-
have additional revenue from
So
your
we can
ambulance
spend
service.
it, maybe a few bucks
Right.
extra and get 2 additional employees for the
Mhm.
potential of more revenue. Or we can spend it, have no potential revenue, well, not, have not that extra potential revenue and looking at the same overtime costs.
Plus, we're closer to the guidelines that we need to be at for,
Yeah, I understand the guidelines that they're looking at.
the police one doesn't seem super necessary to me. I mean, I think police is extremely necessary, but I don't think taking 2 part-times and turn them into 1 full-time for an extra $40,000 a year is a wise move on our part at this time.
I think we're gonna be looking at hiring another officer later in the year anyway.
Probably.
Yeah.
For
So, I mean, so
Yeah.
I don't know, because this was not included in the
Right.
budget. So it's,
Right.
so
So, yeah,
it's just, we're just gonna leave it like it is for now, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And not include that extra one at this
I'm
point.
assuming if it was a priority, he would
He would have
have
listed.
put that in the budget
Yeah,
and not a late add-on.
Right.
right.
Yep.
All right, well, I guess see where we're at. And we'll
Take it from there.
know tomorrow, and then we'll,
Wednesday. We'll know Wednesday.
And, well, she said she'll
I'll have
get it done
information for you tomorrow, but
But we've got, what, Chip coming in Wednesday, and we've got,
Kayla,
Kayla.
Sean,
Scott
And-
again.
Chuck.
Scott.
Scott again, and Chuck.
And then we still have to go over the administration part of expenses, office, our expenses and office personnel and supplies.
Oh,
and
right,
all that kind of stuff. So,
So basically, we have this building left, and Scott and Sean.
yeah.
I think the more difficult ones were done today.
I know.
Try to get them all
That's what I thought too.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But I think it was good to do them early though.
I don't know, I think Chip's gonna be a problem.
He's always a problem.
Hey, you're on the air.
Well, if there's no more further business, we conclude for this
Okay,
evening
I'll
then.
make a motion
Nice.
to close it.
I second that motion.
Been a motion and a second.
Aye.
Twitchell.
Aye.
Byrne,
Aye.
Syracuse,
Aye.
and Jesperson, and I, Linden, yes, all of us.